All right, everybody, welcome to an all-new episode of Figure It Out. This is a show where we break down our favorite figures and, talk about whatever we decide to talk about. This week is Marvel. I know a lot of people are like, oh, because of the news that came out. We actually we're going to do this last week, so we were ahead of the curve on this big Marvel talk. But let me introduce my panel tonight, starting off with Pete. What's going on, Pete?
What's up, buddy? Happy to be here. Salud.
Absolutely. Next up, Jaydee. What's going on, Jaydee?
Evening, everybody. How's everything going? You need a beverage to go through these shows.
You know what? All right, I got an unopened can. Welcoming back to Figure It Out, Joel. What's going on, Joel?
What's good, everybody?
And welcoming for the first time to Figure It Out, I would say definitely one of our biggest fans, Tia. What's going on, Tia?
Hello, everyone. I don't have any alcohol with me. I have water.
You got to get in the game, Tia. You got to get in the game. You got to keep that palate moist.
I have a very small amount left in my freezer, and I'm like, do I want to kill it tonight or do I want it for later?
I wish we could break the fourth wall like WandaVision, to where Pete could just hand up liquor.
Just
yeah, I love that.
Just hand it right over.
He did. Pete just passed me a beer.
Right?
What, Jay? What do we call
that
those?
cup.
This is the championship shot glass.
Championship shot glass. Yes.
All right, so we're gonna start off with figures. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna show off some of our favorite Marvel figures, whether it's pops, actual action figures, whatever the case may be. So I don't like to ever put anyone on the hot seat, so I will go first. This is probably my favorite collection. This is from the the movie that I really can't stand, but they had a really good figure line, and that is Iron Man 3. They had a Hall of Armor set. It came with Tony Stark. You see the where the arc reactor goes in his chest. The hands are also removable. Comes with his more famous armor from the first Iron Man movie. It also came with the old school.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, the first.
That's cool.
That is
like
my
that.
favorite.
Mark 1.
Also from Pete and Jaydee, I was telling you guys before, Iron Man 2 had a really good run. They released the War Machine of the removable head for Don Cheadle. So that's a removable head for him. Nice. And then also got Ironmonger.
That's cool.
Had to go get Ironmonger. Another War Machine that I got. That one's my favorite.
I get that one. That was nice. That's with the flip-up shoulder pads.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I took the flip-offs off, but yeah, it does come with that. Yeah. And then my last but not least, I love this. Joel will know why I love this, but this is the Ultimate Iron Man suit. Yeah.
Oh, because you love the ultimate runs.
Right. It's not the ultimate armor, it's just the ultimate run arm. Yes.
Yes. And it does come with an interchangeable head. So really enjoy it.
Oh, cool.
There were a few more suits that came with the Hall of Armor set. I have them somewhere in my bucket. I couldn't find them. I fell asleep right before showtime, so I rushed to grab those. But I love that line, mainly because I thought this was really cool for this line. They did something like this. I really fell in love with the idea that you could remove one of the hands from one of the suits.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
And put on one of the repulsor hands. So I was really a huge fan of that. I love that. But great line. That was probably the only good thing to come from Iron Man 3. But that was my selection. Hall of Armor. By the way, if you guys wanted to buy the Hall of Armor set, I would say go to your local comic book shop, because if you go on Amazon, it was $300.
Ouch.
Oh my God.
Ouch.
for something that
Jesus.
cost $20 back when Toys R Us existed. So,
Well,
go figure, right?
yeah.
All right. God, I hate Amazon sometimes. But anyway, Pete, you're up next. What you got?
All right. Unfortunately, I don't have my absolute favorite Marvel figure, which is near and dear to my heart, was the Secret Wars Black Spider-Man. It was like a 3 3/4 inch one.
Great.
When I was a kid, I did I had the Superpowers Batmobile, which I showed you a couple weeks ago, and he and Batman were right around the same size. Batman was a little bit taller, so I was like, all right. So Spider-Man used to ride in the Batmobile with Batman because they was trying to find Robin, and Robin was dead. The Joker had killed him. This is before I even knew that the Joker had killed Robin. So I had no clue that was happening. I was just a crazy kid. But
blasphemous, Pete. You're blasphemous.
I am. Right now, I would say my absolute favorite Marvel figure happens to be this one. Hold on a second.
That black suit, man. Now you got to find it for me.
I had a buddy mailed me this out of the blue. This is the Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider figure on the Hell Cycle. Yo, this thing is really badass.
That's nice.
The pictures barely do it justice. The bike is so awesome. I did an unboxing of this actually a while back. The flames look dope. The only problem is like he's got a little bit of a limp wrist, and the chain kind of falls a bit. So, it is what it is. But like I keep him posed. He's got 1 foot on the clutch and then 1 foot on the ground to kind of balance and just look mean as all bloody hell. And I did grab this one and I'll show off. Hold on 1 second.
I do love that Ghost Rider figure, mainly because the 3.75 for Marvel Legends that came out doesn't come out with a bike. It's just him and
right.
Why would I want that?
And they gave us the John Blaze. They didn't give us the Dan Ketch one.
Wanted Dan Ketch, I really did. Yep. He was my Ghost Rider from the 90s.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Toy Biz Superpowers, the superheroes line from the mid 90s were like some of my favorites. And I had lost my red and blue Spider-Man, so from the Secret Wars. So when those came out, I think I was in about maybe 6th or 7th grade, give or take. And I was like, all right, I'm going to get this. And from there, I just like went and bought so many of the rest of them. But when Hasbro, I believe it was Hasbro that released Hasbro released these, like the updated versions. I bought it. I had to keep it in the package for the nostalgia. But the thing I like the most about this is he's got the open face and a slice of pizza.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
And that's that to be. I mean, it's Spider-Man. I wish it was a hot dog actually, because Spidey's always eating hot dogs, and he makes it known like he had hot dogs with Daredevil, Luke Cage, Loki.
He's eating those dirty water dogs.
Love him. There used to be a guy. Shout out to Jimmy the Hot Dog Man, wherever you are. Was under the BQE for 49 years. And if this guy wasn't a degenerate gambler, he'd have been a millionaire. People from all over the boroughs knew this guy. You come and get a Jimmy hot dog.
Can I tell you, like, I actually dislike hot dogs a lot. And I think it's because it was like my mom's go-to. Like, my mom's a fantastic cook, but being a working mom, she'd come home, not have a whole lot of time to make something. So it's like, hot dogs really quick. So I think I got sick of them. So I'm not a big hot dog eater. A few years ago, New York Comic-Con gets there at like 9:30 in the morning. You're waiting on like this huge line outside New York Comic-Con. I'm starving. And as I'm waiting on the sidewalk online, there's a hot dog guy. And I'm just like, give me a hot dog. And I had like a hot dog at like 9:30 in the morning. I think that was my last hot dog I've had in years. So.
Right. Yeah, since we're on the hot dog topic, can I add on to this hot dog topic? All right. I grew up poor. My dad passed away when we were young, so there wasn't a lot of opportunities. One year for Thanksgiving, we had mashed potatoes and hot dogs. So I got to respect the hot dog. But the best hot dog I ever had, not New York. New York, pizza 100%, hands down. The best hot dog I ever had was in Chicago.
That's what I hear. There's
this place in Chicago called Portillo's. If anybody knows about Portillo's, that is the place to go. Hot dogs, sausages. I mean, they do other things. It's an Italian style restaurant, but people go there for their hot dogs and their sausages. They treat their hot dogs like a burger. You get the toppings, you get the condiments, I mean, you get big pepperoncinis on there. You know, raw onions where the missus doesn't want to talk to me after I finish my dogs. Poppy seed buns. Oh my God.
That's
I
the
can
big
love this.
difference between like New York and Chicago hot dogs. New York, it's like, here's some mustard, maybe some ketchup, maybe you'll get some like relish on it. But in Chicago, as you said, they're like, where's the hot dog? It's buried
Yeah.
underneath
Yeah, it's
everything
in
that's
there.
there.
It's in there. Oh man, yeah. But you know,
No, I was just gonna say huge shouts out to that Jaydee. Chicago. I'm glad Chicago can do hot dogs since they clearly can't do pizza.
It's not a pizza. It's literally a meat pie. That's not pizza. I'm sorry.
It's a damn casserole.
yeah.
To our
It's a
listeners out
casserole.
there, because I know we have me and Thea definitely check our numbers. We know we have people out there in Chicago. Sorry, we are East Coasters.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, sorry to our Chicago, but I will always be like that. I am an Italian New Yorker, right? So I like Italian New York pizza. I don't like Chicago pizza, and you don't put pineapples on a pizza. I'm sorry,
No,
right? I
no,
will
you
go
do
to my
not.
grave with that.
But
Do not
Yeah.
put pineapples on your pizza.
So let me piss off your Chicago viewers now that I just said the nice thing about the hot dogs, right? I didn't even like Lou Malnati's. All right. So those of you who know, Lou's, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it didn't do it for me.
We just got
Okay.
blocked. We just are gonna get blocked by a few people. They're like, no.
And honestly, I'm not sorry. It's not pizza. It's delicious, but it's not pizza. So sorry, not sorry.
And again,
Apparently,
that is our bias. Just in case
apparently we need to do like a nerdy food show. Just to let
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Juwaan. That's gonna be our next one.
I'm with it. I'm with that.
I'm just thinking the idea of like keeping it within figure it out. Like one of us has like an action figure of food, and we just bring out the action figure of food. Of course, he has it. Of course he has it. Of course.
He's a little pizza guy.
Okay, hold on.
Of course.
He's
He's not really actiony, but I mean, he's a little pizza man
Hey,
figure.
no, there is action there. He has a slice cut out of him.
He does.
So Pete threw down a challenge flag, and this is one of the things I got in Chicago, right? So this is a pop ripoff, I guess. I don't know. Fun Edibles, Ghostbuster, but a pizza
Oh,
slice.
that is so awesome.
I love it.
I like that.
You know I'm writing that shit down right now.
and his name is I don't know if we can see it. Its name is Pizza Vinkman.
No way.
How do you not tell me this before this? Thought we were friends.
Sorry, brother. I'm sorry.
Welcome to Figure It Out, where we make other people money.
That's it.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do we do it this late? Now I got to see if this place that delivers. Anyway,
But who's got the food fighters in their toy collection? Remember those guys?
I do remember those. I don't have any of them, but I loved them.
throwback.
You're going deep there, Pete.
Dude, it's
Oh
an
my
eidetic
God.
memory for crazy dumb shit. But like, ask me a physics thing or what I had for lunch yesterday. That's gone.
Yeah, no.
That's useless, Pete. That's completely
Exactly.
Now that I think about it, I do want to know how many people still have those old McDonald's and Burger King Happy Meal
The
toys.
little Transformers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the food ones?
Yeah.
No. Just toys, period, Joel.
Oh.
No, but the Transformers were good, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know, I do a lot of thrifting with the missus, right? And I pick up a lot of thrift toys and stuff like that. And I keep spotting the French fry female PVC figures, you know, at thrift shops, and I see them all over the place. I'm tempted. I see them so much. It's like, you know, repetitive. It's telling me, buy me.
Well, at some point you got to get it.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. I'm gonna dig into that because it's like kids nowadays. They're like toys in my food. Just give me more food. I don't need that.
Well, you know what's so funny is like, you know, I don't think they do that with Happy Meals anymore. But then I totally had like a flashback where someone was like, remember that they used to give you toys in the bottom of like a cereal box? And I was like,
Yes.
wait, they don't do,
Yes.
I was like, they don't do that anymore? And it's like, no, that's a thing. Like, no one knows what you're talking about. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow. I don't know. I just
Kids.
Yeah.
You know
thought they
what?
still did that shit.
I
No.
even say this. Even if they did continue it, kids' brains are so like very fast paced now.
Mhm.
They wouldn't even notice it. It'd be like, "Oh, did you like the toy at the bottom of the box? What toy? It was just
Yeah.
I ate it.
You think it didn't just stop at cereal. So I
Yeah.
guess I'm the one that's gonna give my age here, right? I guess I'm the oldest one in the group. So Kool-Aid used to come in a coffee can style tin,
Oh my
Really?
god, Jaydee.
and I remember getting Kool-Aid plastic mugs in the bottom of the Kool-Aid cans. They
my
they
God.
came in red and blue and in white. Yeah.
That's cool.
I am looking forward to the comment section for someone to go, I remember that.
And they also did toys at the bottom of Cracker Jack boxes, right? Or like they did
Yeah, but
something.
nothing.
Yeah,
Not like toys. More like
We-
little plastic finger rings.
Yeah, but now it's like
Yeah.
now you get a sticker or a stamp or something. It's,
Yeah.
Something,
Yeah.
yeah.
A little comic in it or something like that.
Mhm.
I remember getting Cracker Jacks specifically for that.
I ate that. Are you serious? You gotta give me
I didn't really like Cracker Jacks, but I wanted that toy or whatever the fuck it was at the end.
It got a little too sweet. I'm not a sweets fan.
I used to get my mom to buy it, and then she's like, "All right, you ready for breakfast?" I'm like, "Yeah." She would go, and I would just dump it all out to get.
Oh, wow.
At least you dumped it. I'd dig my hand.
Oh, yeah.
I'm an only child. I didn't need to share it with anyone.
Oh
Gotta-
no, that is only child syndrome if I've ever heard it. Like I
He's
just
eating it like a bag of chips.
right. Oh, it used to bug me seeing my siblings eat a chip and then go like this. It's like you had to put your hand back in there. You. All right, let's move on. Jaydee, would you bring to the table today?
Okay, so one of my favorite Marvel villains of all time, and I think the best depiction of this figure was the Marvel Legends Green Goblin.
Yes.
Nice.
Okay, came with the stand for his glider. It didn't have finger articulation, but it had hand articulation. Came with a removable pumpkin backpack. Best representation ever. Best, I think, Marvel villain of all time, honestly. And to tie it into the 3 3/4 stuff. So the first Marvel 3 3/4 recent times was a Marvel Showdown figures. I don't know if you ever remember those. And they came with a card game almost. So you had different trading cards with the figure to give you the moves, kind of like that Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic style. They would come with rocket launchers. And the line was pretty awesome. You had almost an exact 1-to-1 scale of this Green Goblin, which was great. You had a Punisher, Captain America, Spider-Man, Dan Ketch, Ghost Rider, Silver Surfer. That line also had the best 1/18th scale thing ever. I mean, when the Marvel for 3 inches, 3 3/4 inches were coming out, the thing was kind of blocky, not as articulated, stuff like that, and the face sculpt was a little weird. But that Marvel Showdown thing, which I've got somewhere, I just got a ton of shit, but I can't find. That Marvel Showdown thing, I think, is the best thing figure ever. And then another a little bonus here was, I mean, that Marvel Legend line was so inventive before they went to Hasbro. And this Mojo figure was their Build-A-Figure.
Wow.
I mean, it is so gross but so detailed.
I love that.
I mean, look at that C-section belly there.
I'm about to say, look like you got a C6.
Yeah. I mean, finger, wrist articulation, spider legs all over the place. The one thing it doesn't have is that scorpion tail snapping movement. But I mean, the articulation and the sculpting in that head, it's amazing. So that Mojo figure, I mean, look at that face, man. That's I mean,
sick.
you
That
put
makes
that
me
on the
sick.
Willy Wonka and the
Nightmares.
Chocolate Factory, that'll give you fucking heebie-jeebies. But that Mojo figure is one of the, I think, best Marvel Legends line. He's easily collectible. Still on eBay, you can find those, pieces on the side. Unlike the Galactus and the Apocalypse or the Giant Man figure, who those pieces going for like $50 each piece loose. You can put together that Mojo very easily.
I love it, and I love that you showed off Green Goblin. I would say my favorite Goblin figure, and it's not even necessarily Goblin, is it was when Spider-Man 1 came out.
Oh, that's not the Goblin, dude.
The Power Ranger Goblin.
Dude, that's not the Goblin.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the Goblin. It was Norman Osborn in the chair, like he was removable in the chair, and the Goblin mask was
the
on
mask.
the chair.
Yes,
And you
yes, I remember that.
and it would give like the catchphrases from the movie.
Yeah.
I love that so much because they did a great job on that Norman figure, and then to make it to where he fits perfectly in the chair. And then the mask that was hanging off the chair that you could push. I loved it. That was my favorite figure from that movie. Which, by the way, no one ever talks about it. That first Spider-Man, outside of how ugly the Goblin looked, they had some great figures come out of that movie. I really enjoyed their figures coming out of the movie. More so.
Yeah, I think that was Toy Biz's. It wasn't their first movie toy line. It was the X-Men stuff, but I think it was the first time they got it really nice. Other than that, they had that Blade figure way back when the Blade movie came out. That Blade had toe articulation, but he was 1/12 scale. But the line was small, maybe 3 or 4 figures. The X-Men line was kind of shitty, even though they tried to give us the Blackbird with that. But yeah, that Spider-Man was no, it wasn't that good. No.
JD's like,
he's trying.
No, I'm trying. I'm trying, dude. Yeah, no, because the Marvel Legends were in full swing at that time. I think they were already a wave 3 or wave 4 of Marvel Legends by that time. And you had some really nice sculpts coming out. The only thing good about that Spider-Man line was that you had the molded webbing on some of those Spider-Man figures, right? You felt that imprint. But I mean, other than that Marvel Legends figure of Goblin, we never got Goblin. Go back to Secret Wars, Pete. How do you not have Green Goblin in the line, man?
They had Hobgoblin for like I think that was wave 3, but
right, but that was the Europe version. We never got that over here. Hobgoblin, Iceman, and
Constrictor and
Constrictor. Right, the 3 of
there
those.
might have been a 4th. Electro, was it Electro?
I don't know. I know it was those 3: Constrictor, Hobgoblin, and Iceman. They were when the wave was canceled here in the States.
Right.
They were still shipping out what was left over in Europe. They do that also with like Canada. That's where the LJN wrestlers, the black card wrestlers, they ended up going out to Canada, and those are like super big money. The last wave. But those last 3 figures for the Secret Wars, they almost run as much as that Cyborg figure does from DC Superpowers, and that wasn't here. That was South America release.
Yeah, I will say, as far as movie releases, I kind of flocked very heavily to the Spider-Man figures that came out because of how poorly I thought the X-Men figures were. Not because of details, but because those costumes were god awful. They were just the worst things to look at. I didn't want to play with that.
Fucking worst.
Like coming off watching the cartoons and seeing how colorful and bright they were, and then you get the figures and you're just like, I don't know what that is.
The movie was terrible.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Bryan Singer's a pedophile douchebag, but whatever.
Yeah.
Those costumes though are at least better than the costumes from Dark Phoenix. Like, I know what you're saying. Like the costumes are, my introduction to like live action superheroes were, say, the X-Men movies. So I guess as younger, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's like a modernized, version. But again, come on. When did that movie come out? I was like
2000. Yeah. Okay. 2000.
Yeah. I was 10. So,
Wow.
But then seeing,
I am the old one here.
But then seeing the trailer to Dark Phoenix, I was like, I get what everyone means. Like those costumes are ugly.
Well, at least they can move in those
Well, Joel makes a great point. They could move a lot better in those. But what I think pissed me off about the Dark Phoenix suits were the fact that a lot of
The
people
teeth.
Apocalypse ended with them being in their accurate suits,
Right.
Mhm.
and in Dark Phoenix they're back to looking shitty. And
Yeah. They wore
What'd you
uniforms.
do?
again.
what you
Yeah.
do? Like when I tell you guys, they look so good at the end of Apocalypse, and it's like, all right, we're in the right direction. And then you see like the trailer for Dark Phoenix, and you're like, what Earth
They-
is that other one on? That this is a different Earth. Like, why did you go back? Why did you revert? You know, so it's just like,
But we already know that comic book accurate costumes don't translate well, right? Going back to Spider-Man for a second, William Dafoe did
They
the
can't.
prosthetic stuff, and they showed what that Green Goblin mask was going to look like, and it was a little too
Yeah.
animatronic for them,
yeah.
right?
I still look like it.
If they keep in theme, like when you go to the first Captain America movie, did Chris Evans look like he had a parachute jumpsuit as the Captain America outfit?
Yes.
Yeah, but did it work for
Yeah.
the aesthetic of the film, but keep that flavor of the original costume in there? Yes, I felt it did.
that's
Why-
why.
Well, and I,
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I agree with what Jaydee is saying. Like we just got in WandaVision, the Halloween episode,
Right.
where
Mhm.
Wanda was wearing her comic book accurate, and it was hokey, it looked a little cosplayish, but still kind. But can you imagine if they had like that, really her running around, or some of like I'm just gonna take it from a spin of being a woman, some of like the female accurate costumes where it's like wearing a bikini. You can't put that out there.
Wait, they can't wear that and fight in public? Come on.
Me, I always like a common ground. So it's like to see what we saw from the '90s X-Men animated series, and then to see how far away that 2000 movie was. There's a middle ground somewhere in there.
There really is.
Mhm.
Like you didn't have to go all black. Like who thought that was like, yeah, that'll look good on screen.
It's just look, if you look at the Ultimate X-Men costumes, those worked perfectly fine. And it was the same
Mhm.
aesthetic as what they were trying to do with the movie, but they looked way better. It was designed better. They were actual clothes, not molded rubber. What the fuck was that leather? Like, why was everyone wearing leather? I don't understand that.
Because it was cool, Joelle. It was cool.
Frustrating. Like the costumes were not good in the X-Men movies, but there is like Juwaan was saying, there's a middle ground. Like you can definitely do comic accurate, but not obviously to the extreme of everyone in like latex or whatever, so like skin tight spandex.
Right. For example, Vision, I think, is a perfect middle ground.
Mhm.
Do I like the costume that they have Vision in? No, I think they could easily pull off his more comic accurate look, but I accept it because that's the middle ground. They're not going to go too old school. They're going to go somewhere in between. I accept it. It looks great. But to me, it's like you got to come somewhere in between there. And I think Feige is going to nail that when he does the X-Men. Because there's a way to make those suits a little bit more colorful, but you don't have to make it 90s animated series bright. That's just
Right. And everybody wearing completely different colors. Look, I get it. It's just the 90s X-Men costumes are very out there.
Right.
And to bring them to life would be very difficult. That's true.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about a team and none of them match. So I get it. But I just thought those movies failed on their costumes.
Yeah, and it makes all the sense in the world when you find out they had a director who was like, comic. Oh, you mean the things that we're making this movie based off of? Yeah, don't read those. Wait, what? Huh? Yeah, no. Don't read any of those.
But we know, we spoke about this last time. That's where Kevin Feige cut his teeth. That's where he learned what not to do.
Right.
Exactly.
Right?
He was just like, oh, so you're just gonna shit all on the thing that you're making, right? Okay. But Iron Man is a perfect example. That does not look that far off from what his comic counterpart looks like.
No.
It's a little darker, obviously, and the look is a little different, but it's not so drastically different than other iterations of Iron Man we've seen. So again, middle ground. Find a middle ground for me.
Well, because you had the artists working on Iron Man at that time, Adi Granov, helping with doing the production designs on the Iron Man stuff, right? Or when you go back to the Tim Burton's Batman wasn't all black at all.
No.
At that time,
No.
Batman was still the blue and gray costume.
Yes, he was.
Jose
Yeah.
Luis Garcia Lopez costume. That was going through the books at that time. The Dark Knight stuff and the fall of Batman, the death of Batman, where Bane broke his back. He flirted with the black costume, but that was still 4 years after the Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah,
Mhm.
to me, I'll always say I always want to see the suit that Michael Keaton had, but today. And it just seems like a look that most directors just are like, color in Batman? No. It's like, okay, but one day I would like to see that again. At least a blue cape.
And the blue gray instead of the black and gray.
Right. Just something different. Like if I get another Batman that's just all black, it's like sometimes it's just visually annoying. Like, 'cause all the crime happens at night. So it's like, all right, it's at night and you're putting him in all black. Some color can
Who's
be.
tired of Batman? Yes. Who's tired of Batman already?
No,
Talking about design.
I will never utter those words ever in my life.
Tired of
Never
him.
I'm tired of all black suit Batman. I'll give you that.
We only had it the one like during the 90s. We have all black suit Batman is not a thing anymore. It hasn't been a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
Wasn't Nolan? Or am
No.
I thinking remembering that wrong?
Nolan didn't know where to put the gray and the black and separate it the correct way. But there was definitely gray and black. Like the first Batman, like Batman Begins suit was like he had a black cape, but it was like more clothy, and then you had like the black mask. The whole suit was gray, even the fucking logo. The only thing that was black were the boots and the gauntlets, but not the gloves. Those were still gray. So that's how Batman Begins looked. Then you have Dark Knight, where it was all like RoboCop looking, and it was black and gray, and the logo, the little black bat, was in the middle of a black V, and it's weird. It was really weird design, but that was also black and gray.
I will say everything Joel said is 1,000% true, but I think Joel can spot it a lot better because he knows to look for it. To the naked eye, that shit's all black.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me.
No.
That's what it looked like to me.
Costumes, they mean the most to me when we're talking superheroes. So I can spot every fucking thing.
Well, you guys also know I have shit vision, so.
But yeah, so to me, and I do like a all yellow utility belt too. I like the aesthetic.
Well, I like it gold. The yellow's too bright.
Okay, again,
To me.
common ground. I can go with gold. But all right, Tia, what pops you got for us?
Yeah, so I am not a toy person, but I was like, I really love your guys, show. And John's like, well, why don't you come on? And I said, well, I do have a lot of pops. So I did pull a lot of pops off of the shelves. I have a shit ton more. I just didn't pull them off. But I did want to show, I do have one toy from my aunt got this for me a few years ago, back when like the second season of Daredevil came out. And it's the Punisher, obviously, because
nice.
I'm obsessed. So I kept him in the box because I have cats, and I feel like that some of these like loose things will end up on the floor, batted around somewhere. So I brought a lot out, so I'm gonna go through all my like pops quickly. Speaking about WandaVision, I got my Wanda here.
Is her head bobbling?
They're all bobbleheads. Like all of my pops, for some reason, are bobbleheads. I can't get like a pop that isn't a freaking bobblehead. I don't understand. But hang on. All right. So we got the two John Bernthal bobbleheads.
Nice.
The difference is
Yeah.
So this one I had to look for online like so much. The one where he's holding the Daredevil head. I was like,
that's cool.
This was expensive. This was like $40-$50, where this was like $10 or something, But my obsessive ass was like, I'm getting it.
the Daredevil one was the chase figure. I have the regular one, but I could never find that.
This is
one was holding the helmet.
We know what you get Pete for Christmas.
I love that pop, Tia, but I will say this to the day I die. I was not a fan of the suits that they went with for Daredevil.
I'm sorry, can you show that again?
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah,
it's a nice figure.
That is really
I love
nice.
the pop. It's just
The
they could have
pop's
done a
nice.
lot better with the
That was the TV show.
Yeah, the TV show.
Are
Do you know which
90s
Punisher
vibes, Jay?
this is?
That's Nemesis.
Cool.
Yes. So I got this guy just because, again, I went through this I'm still obsessed with the Punisher, but when it like first came out, I was like, need everything I can get. This is Crossbones because I actually really like Frank Grillo as Crossbones. So I was like, all right, you can come to the party.
You actually
Huh?
got to interview the Russo brothers. One question, and it would have had nothing to do with their movie that you were interviewing about. I need to know why they did that look for Crossbones. It's the easiest look to pull off, and they went that way.
I want to know why Frank Grillo wasn't the Punisher to begin with. How about that?
Frank Grillo would have been a good Punisher. He practically played it in the Purge movies. So.
Thank you so much. That was the Punisher. That wasn't the Purge. I mean, that's what it is. You killed my family. I'm going after everybody.
So these are my Lokis. This is actually the first Loki pop that came out of after Avengers. This, I don't know when he came out, and then this one is the Ragnarok look.
Crazy thing is, Tia, hot take, the Ragnarok Loki look is my favorite.
It is. It's so great. Look at that. That's amazing. All right. I got Thanos, which is the biggest one that I have. This
cool.
one is huge.
And I love that pops are also for kids. They put a smile on his face.
Speaking about Luke Cage before, I got Luke Cage here.
Nice.
Ronan is one of my favorite villains in the MCU, so of course I had to get a Ronan.
Lee Pace killed it.
Yes.
Oh, so amazing.
That scene
I wish
he's becoming Ronan, like when they're dressing him.
Yeah.
So great. I love that.
I wish he was in Captain Marvel more, and I had heard that he was supposed to have a bigger role, but they cut it, which I'm like, why would you misuse Lee Pace? He's a phenomenal actor.
Seriously.
And so then I have the last two I'll show is my Gamora one. And this is Natasha from Infinity War. I do have another Black Widow from Avengers, but the thing about the girl pops is they put them on these trays and they eventually start leaning forward after a while. So I don't often like getting the girl pops just for that very reason. They didn't always make that. My original Black Widow one has the same sort of feet that the guys have, but for some reason they started making them different. So yeah, those are all my pops. I'm a huge pop fan. Any like holiday or birthday, I'm like, if you don't know what to get me a freaking pop. And whenever I go to New York Comic Con, I always like look for more pops. So that's my toy obsession. I had to get multiple shelves just to like hold them all.
I love it. And you mentioned Black Widow. They released the 6-inch figure for Taskmaster. It comes with weapons. It comes with the Black Panther claws for the removable hands. Comes with the shield, the sword, bow and arrow. I can't find that figure anywhere. I want it more than anything. I want that.
Before you move on, going back to this Punisher, yeah, if you want this guy, I don't know if you're gonna find him. I think they made like very limited amounts of these. Because they again were selling this one primarily, and this was like the special one. So
is that like red around his eye?
Yeah, they both have okay, so this one has like a grayish black eye, and then this one has a reddish eye. So you know,
I thought my camera was foggy, so I was just trying to make sure I wasn't losing it.
Nope, it wouldn't be the Punisher unless he was beat up to hell. So
if I'm not mistaken, the only way you could get the one with the helmet was if you ordered it, like a pre-ordered, you just order the regular one, and they, by the luck of the draw, they just sent you one.
I had heard about that. Yeah. Some people said it. That's not how I got mine. I think I literally just like scoured the internet and paid like more money than I should have paid for because I wanted it. But I had heard exactly what you're saying, where people are like, oh, I ordered the other one and this one just popped up. So I don't know why that was the case, but yeah, I had remembered hearing about that when it first happened.
My buddy had ordered the Agent Venom, I believe it was. You know, they're like $10, $11, whatever. And he ordered two of them just because. And one of them he happened to have gotten the Agent Anti-Venom all in white. And that shit is like $150 online. So chase figures can get ridiculous.
Well, I'll tell you that pop figures like normally do go for like $10, $12 online, especially on like Walmart.com, whatever. But you go to freaking New York Comic Con, they will raise the prices. You'll go to like one stand and you'll find one for $50, $60, and then you go to one that's like two stands down and the same one for $12. So they definitely try and rip you off at New York Comic Con with those pops.
Well, Pete knows when he would hang out, when we'd hang out at New York Comic Con, I always had my booth set up right across from the Funko booth stand, and that place was always freaking packed to the brim, and people were making deals just coming off the line. You're standing on the line and you got people just, listen, I'll give you $500 if you get me that. And it's like, are you crazy?
So
they were doing it.
With the Funko Pop thing for like the past 2 years when they were having it, you had to like get chosen to be, I guess, like the lottery. I never got the lottery, so I always got like the scraps. And I remember like just waiting online because there was one year they were doing a Shane doll from The Walking Dead, and they were doing a I don't know if you guys ever watched iZombie, but I liked iZombie. It was on CW, and they were doing a pop for the main character. So it was like that year. And I remember just staying there, like staring at people, like grabbing, and I'm like, please let there be some left when it's time for us commoners to go. And, you know, I was able to finally grab them. But yeah, that was nerve-wracking.
If New York Comic Con ever comes back again, I got a secret for how to get through some of that. We'll do that after the show.
Okay.
All right.
Just a little shout out. When they do open back up New York Comic Con, we're definitely all getting together. We've been going the last few years. Pete, we missed you the last time. Like right before Joel, did we go the year before COVID?
Yeah. I was with you guys.
That's right. Phil was there.
Yeah, I was there.
2019, I was there, but I don't think I was there all 4 days.
No, yeah, I think we went just Friday, Joel?
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday. Okay.
Because we went Saturday.
I remember you weren't there all 4 days.
Right.
You weren't.
I mean, 2018, I know I was. 2018 was a different ball game, but 19, I think I had something to. I don't think I made it on Saturday because I usually hate Saturdays.
You're right. You were tired, and it was the anniversary stuff.
Yeah.
So. But no, New York Comic Con, 9 years running, setting up a booth right there, and
well, that's cool.
We probably walked by Jaydee and didn't even
probably
a million times.
That's what I'm pretty sure we did.
I mean, that's like before I, started writing and working for GVN. When we would go to New York Comic Con, we literally started at the very front and just went down every single aisle until we got to the end. So I definitely passed by your booth.
That's hardcore.
I would have been wearing either this shirt or the shirt Pete has on right now. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Ooh, let's just try to get that out of the glare.
Jaydee, I'm definitely gonna hit you up after the show for I need some merch.
Shameless plug. Championship size shot glasses.
If those are the one you sell, I definitely want one of those. I love it.
Talking about New York Comic Con, it's gonna suck. This year would have been perfect for us because New York Comic Con, we would have gotten Spider-Man there, we would have gotten Miss Marvel there, we would have gotten a little bit of Moon Knight, we would have gotten the Batman. All the really good stuff we don't usually get because LA gets it, we would have gotten this year, and alas, we'll probably not have it this year. So,
there's even a New York Comic Con this year, I get nervous thinking that we may go a second year without it.
I don't think it's going to happen, folks.
Yeah,
we
decided to try to do something virtual. I mean, I think that's always smart. Do something virtual.
They did something virtual, but for vendors like me, that. Independent publishers, it really didn't work. They sell advertising space, virtual show floor space, right? So they run their panels on the website, and underneath, if you scroll down a page, it'll be their virtual show floor. But if people are watching YouTube on their TV like they can now, you had no access to stuff like that, right? I wasn't going to be, and they're still trying to vend those things to me. So usually by now they're already asking me to start sending in payments, and none of that stuff has popped up. And for those of you who know about the Javits area, the Jacob Javits is pretty much a COVID relief center now. And a vaccine site at this point. That's government funds that they get paid for directly.
Yeah. Anyone out there listening, put your damn mask on so we can get New York Comic Con back. God.
Hell yeah. I need to make some
They,
money.
if they have New York Comic Con this year, I'm going in a freaking gas mask and just like walking in.
Bubble. I'm going a big ass bubble.
That's your cosplay, Bubble Boy. There you go.
Guys, just look at it like this. The last New York Comic Con, over 250,000 people went to the event.
Damn.
Well, it's crazy. Like, I was going to New York Comic Con when it was just the Jacob Javits Center. And then I remember the next, like a year or two after, they were like, oh, yeah, now we're extending it to Madison Square Garden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For the satellite events. Yes. For the satellite panels and stuff like that.
So to me, I'm like, that's how big New York Comic Con was getting. And literally then we're expanding to other locations as well.
See, but it didn't just stop there. You know that, right?
No.
You had the Hammerstein Ballroom. You had stuff going on at Madison Square Garden, and then you had the secret locations.
Oh yeah.
Did you guys ever watch Westworld?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first 2 seasons.
Okay.
Me too.
Do you remember when they had the warehouse of just the bodies that weren't being used?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had that set up down on 11th Avenue and I want to say 27th or 28th Street. So you had to go into the Javits, you had to scan your badge, and you had to book it all the way down there because it was limited viewing. So there were a lot of little secret satellite events that people didn't know about.
But now,
well, that happened.
Use...
I'm so sorry about
That's
that.
All right. That's all right.
I was just going to say that happened to Juwaan, and I. What was it, in 2018 when we tried to go to the Madison Square Garden to see Daredevil, and we're waiting there, and they were like, "Oh no, sorry, we're full now." And it's
right,
are you kidding
at
me?
the Palladium, yeah.
That sucked.
Yeah, that lady was
so
not
upset.
nice.
Not nice.
Pete, what was that you were gonna ask me?
I was just gonna, like, didn't they open up all of these satellite spots because the airplane hangar, for lack of a better term, but that's what it looks like, was under construction and has been for like the last several years or so?
Well, the right, so that airplane hangar, that's where they would hold the New York Special Edition that was going on in June. I don't know if you remember that. And
they had Artist Alley there too before it was in the basement.
Yes,
right, mad cramped in and shit.
So construction on that was scheduled to be finished this year in November. Because of COVID, that wasn't finished at all yet. So construction is still going on. Is that still going to open up? I don't know. It was going to be multiple levels because, like you said, it was just a hangar. So they were going to have different levels. But are they still going to have satellite events? Yeah, man. Because you can't keep 250,000 people locked in there. Like, if you guys know about Toy Fair, when Toy Fair would go down at New York Comic Con, at the Javits, it wasn't just at the Javits. They had events at the Flatiron Building. They had other events, like Hasbro for the last 2 or 3 years was not at the main Toy Fair building. Right? You had to go to another location. So it's something that they always do.
Yeah, you got to have mad credentials to go to Toy Fair. Like they don't just let anybody.
No, you didn't.
Oh.
We shall talk after the show.
All right.
Jaydee has the connected apparently with everything.
Jaydee, you about to get me a whole bunch of stuff, man.
Come on, guys.
Oddly enough, you say like 250,000 people went to New York Comic Con, and I like to look up statistics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, only 150,000 sticks of deodorant were used that weekend.
Oh my God! Thank you.
I know. I know.
You always. It's like you always knew when you're in. Like you'd go in, you're like, oh God, that smell. It really perpetuated the stereotype that geeks don't leave their rooms very often.
It's a shame.
It's like
you don't. You gotta look at it, right? And it's unfortunate. It's a stereotype, but it applies to some because there's a lot of people who are involved in this that are introverts, right?
Yes.
And sometimes introverts don't know how to respond to social cues easily. And unfortunately, what Pete brought up is one of those things.
That seems less a social cue and more just general hygiene, but That's probably a whole other show.
Yeah, no, but, dude, I carry a can of Lysol with me at cons, and I was sprayed under the table because I didn't want to ruin the merch. You know what I mean?
Better than me. I'd be like, just at people.
You don't want people going to your table and going like, "Ooh, what's that smell?"
Yeah, I need that money, bro. I need that money.
You guys stay tuned to next week's episode of Figure It Out, the hygiene edition.
Literally
Well,
figuring it out.
Where instead of figures, it's just different aerosol cans.
Well, I'm naturally gifted, so I have my own self-defense. You know what I mean? If I was a Pokemon, I'd be a skunk or something like that. Whatever the skunk form is, that would be me. You know?
Before you move on really quick, in the past few years for GVN, I've always written an article before New York Comic Con, like how to prepare, you know, just little things, how to prepare, put a little PB&J sandwich in your backpack because you're going to be hungry and you don't want to spend $20 on a freaking bowl of rice, you know, down in the food court.
Right.
And I'm definitely, if we have a New York Comic Con this year, going to include, and please bring deodorant with you. That's going to be on the list. So.
Wouldn't hurt. Would not hurt.
Yeah.
All right, Joel, to end this out on this figures and pops, what you got?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have many because most of my stuff is in storage. But I do have like maybe a handful of pops I could show you.
We get to see. Turn on that camera.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there he is.
Right.
Oh wait, that's the exact painting from the Spider-Man clip we just got.
What are you talking about?
Not painting, but the poster.
Oh yeah, I have my comics behind me. Those are cool.
Those are awesome.
I don't. Does this turn around? Yeah, it does. I have
pops.
I have what's it called? Blunt Man and Chronic sign.
That's
dope.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah. That actually happened a couple months ago, and I went and he signed it for me, and I took a picture, and I keep it up and I show off that I actually got to meet the guy, so that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
So that's my prized position at the moment that that people could actually see, aside from my Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Vegeta that Juwaan gave me, because I don't know why he gave it.
I don't collect pops, so I'm like, Joel will take better care of this Vegeta than I will. But Joel, like me, is just like, nah, Goku. So, when I gave it to him, he was just like, eh. But all right, so we got some good stuff, man, that we're showing off here. Great pops, Joel. That being signed by them is like uber dope. Yeah. I remember Joel's like, yo, you want to come with me? I'm like, no. Like, oh, well, you missed out, and I was like, damn it. Because I actually went to. I'm from Long Branch, so I actually went to his comic book shop. I was an extra for the show that they were shooting. I wasn't in the actual episode. They tell you when you sign up, they're like, hey, it's a good chance we're not gonna use you. It's like, okay. And he was the only one not there. So I was
for comic book men?
Yeah.
So what would you like, just shopping in the store?
Yeah, so they set you up in certain areas. So like when I walked in there, it really hurt my feelings. So like I was with my sister and they were telling my sister, hey, we want you to dig through this Creative Comics, while we're filming. And I was just like, ooh, I wonder what they want me to do. They're like, hey, do me a favor, face that wall and read a comic. And I was just like, all right, ugly, I get it. No. So that was one of the best days and worst days of my life. But yeah, it never aired. I looked for the episode and it was just like, nope, I'm not anywhere in there. Okay. So
was your sister?
Yeah, she was in it.
That's awesome.
Nice. That's awesome.
She was in it. I was unfortunately not. But anyway,
so you got Freddy Krueger.
Yes, exactly. So it was just one of those things where it was just like, because I remember going there, I was so excited, and my sister was just so whatever, like, oh my god, who cares about it? And it turns out she's on TV, and I'm the schmuck that's left off.
Nice.
My luck. But all right, let's move on. Let's get into some Marvel talk. I want to kind of group this together. I have on here favorite Marvel or MCU character. I want to pair that up with favorite MCU movie. So if you want to do favorite Marvel character, period, just kind of tag team it with your favorite MCU movie to date. I'll start off. My favorite Marvel character will probably have to be Iron Man, not because of the MCU. Joel, I gave you my top 5, and Iron Man was in my top 5.
It was. It's constantly changing your favorite. Every week's different.
My favorite always changes, but it's characters within my top 5. It was Kamala Khan not too long ago. But it's Iron Man, and it's not because of the MCU. I actually was the only one that I know of that really, really, really enjoyed the 90s animated Iron Man cartoon.
I liked it.
I did grow tired with seeing Mandarin as the only villain almost every episode. It was just like no one else wants to challenge him. No one at all. Crimson Dynamo? No one. Okay. But
no one could handle the power of the mullet.
Right? No one could handle that porn stash and mullet. No one.
Why'd they give him green skin? I didn't get it. But why did they give the Mandarin green skin in that?
I have no idea. They did a lot wrong with that.
Now it's new to me.
They did give him green skin. You are absolutely right, Jaydee. Yep. I have no idea. But I think what I loved most about it was, I was telling Joel, it broke my heart when I saw the MCU version of the first Iron Man, because I loved it in the comics and in the cartoon, where it was like, "Are you Iron Man?" "No, Iron Man's my bodyguard," and like everyone believed them. It was just like, "Oh, okay, we've never really seen you guys like, but the suit would show up right around where Tony Stark would show up. So in the MCU, when he's kind of looking through his notes and it's like, we heard it's your bodyguard. And I was like, oh, they're going to go with it. And he's like, nope, I'm Iron Man. I'm like, oh my God, what? Like, you're outing yourself? I didn't know you could do that. And then
I love that for that reason.
Spiral. Mm-hmm. It was just a spiral of all the heroes. Like, yep, it's me. I'm the hero guy. And it was just like, this goes against everything in the comics. You're not supposed to do that. But yeah,
rules were meant to be broken, Juwaan.
I guess so, Tia. I guess so.
Whole series about that. Civil War is about secret identities.
Exactly. That's why it was kind of like when they did it, they had to change a lot of it, because it's like, we know who all of you are. There's not one person there we don't know, except for Spider-Man at the time.
That was it, yeah.
Right, that was it. Only for it to be a few episodes down the line, and it was like, that's actually, Joel, what bothered me watching Superman and Lois, where it was kind of like some people know who he is. It was just like, CW, you just do not get it, huh? You just
the general knew. Like that's his father-in-law.
Yeah. Anyway, so Iron Man's my favorite character. My favorite MCU movie. I'll allow you guys to count team-ups, because Infinity War to me is probably the most flawless MCU movie to date. That movie is just beautiful. And I love it mainly because I think Thor has had not only the best redemption in the MCU, but the best arc. I think he's had the best arc, literally losing everything. And kind of persevering through it all. I love that about him. But Infinity War was so well done. I did not think they could get as close to the comics as they did. I'll never forget that second trailer where Gamora is talking about he could wipe out the entire universe with just a snap. I remember when I heard that, I was like, if this goddamn movie ends in a snap, I'm gonna lose my mind. And the Russo brothers did an amazing job. Iron Man's nano technology was actually, and this is what bothered me a little bit, it was done better than what's Iron Man's technology where the suit just kind of comes onto his body? Extremis. It was done better than Extremis, and I was just like, God damn.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. And I know you're a big Blue Beetle fan, right? But when this one piece can change it to almost anything, no, that's just too easy. That's too Deus Ex Machina. That's just be a little bit more creative.
You're saying that you didn't like the nano tech.
No.
I would have to agree with him. I remember, and Juwaan, I agree with you. Like, Infinity War was a phenomenal movie. Like, you would never think that they would be able to pull as many characters as they did in Infinity War and just make it seem constant and make it seem so well done. But I remember when the nanotech happened, I was like, oh, are we not then going to get like the cool, like, pieces of armor attaching to him sort of thing? Because I like those transitions a lot better than the
But
nanotech.
the reason why I thought it was earned was we've seen what you're talking about since 2008. To me, you have to evolve Iron Man, and to me, it's just like the guy's too smart to want to have to call a suit to him when he needs.
Yeah, but to make those when he's fighting Thanos, for his boots become those big anchor boots, and then to turn into jet boots, and just a thought. I mean, come on. I mean, as a storyteller, I can understand if it's magic, but when it's science, give science a little bit more build up. Like with the Transformers, when Megatron was those floating cubes, it just that style of storytelling just doesn't work for me.
To me, I feel as though it just has to be earned. Like if this was done around Iron Man 2, I would agree with you. But to me, I would just find it so hard to believe that he couldn't find an easier way to get that suit when he needs it than it just being right here.
It's just
right. And
that's because you make him more powerful by doing that. You make him somebody who can problem solve at the drop of a hat, because he's already pre-problem solved it, right? If we're going with Tia said before, where the suits were in space, well, now you got some drama going on. Is it going to get to him in time, right? Remember when he jumped off of the Avengers Tower? Is the thing going to sync up with his wristwatch to latch onto him before he hits the pavement? It adds to the dramatic narrative.
Well, to me, the bigger issue was they use Iron Man the way I would have never used Iron Man in a Marvel Cinematic Universe, to where he was one of the last lines of defense, to where it's like you got to make him strong enough to be able to stand up to Thanos, right? So it's like it's really hard to believe Thanos would have allowed him the time for the pieces to kind of sync up to him. So I mean, honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you, I just wouldn't have used Iron Man in that spot.
Okay.
It's just like it wasn't the most believable guy you want in that moment. I get it for the MCU, but that's why I'm like I kind of understand you kind of doing that with the suit, because it's like a regular suit ain't gonna get it. You got to do something different, and they're able to kind of conjure up something to kind of make him a little bit stronger to withstand Thanos, till it was like he couldn't. So. Again, I kind of understood it for that, but I'm really interested to see where Riri goes. Is Riri more science driven, or is she using the same kind of tech that Tony did? So I'm because again, like I said, she has to earn that. So I'm curious to see about that going forward. But yeah, so my favorite character is Iron Man. My favorite MCU movie is Infinity War. Jaydee, I'll pass it to you.
Okay, favorite character growing up, Marvel, was Captain America. I'm showing my age again, right? The 250s to 350s, those were my Captain America issues. I don't know if you know what happened during that time, but from 300 to 350, you had the dead Red Skull, but he was really part of the Illuminati. Or if you remember the Shield TV series, remember when they had the black panels with the people that they had to answer to, right? The secret cabal. That was really taken from that Captain America storyline, where Red Skull was really in a clone body of Steve Rogers, and he was one of those people in the black screens. You had the introduction of U.S. Agent with John Walker. You had the introduction of his partner, Battlestar, who was the inspiration for one of the characters I developed, Shield of the Interceptor.
Very cool looking, by the way.
Thank you. Who's on Pete's shirt, right? And he was inspired by that. That was issue number 334 of Captain America. When I was a kid, I didn't have comic book shops in regular places around here, right? So I pick it up in the Barnes and Nobles, in the bodegas, in the comic book shop, in the corner stores, stuff like that. When I would spend my summers in Puerto Rico, you would find them in Walgreens and stuff. And my grandmother, my mom's stepmom, she was Afro-Latina, and Captain America 334 has John Walker dressed as Captain America, and Lamar Hoskins dressed as Bucky, but who became Battlestar, on the cover. And for me, this is a bonding moment with me and my grandmother, because she's dark skinned Afro Latina, and then that was a white guy, and you looked at us, and she was like, "Oh, look at this! one of the characters looks like me and one of the characters looks like you. So that was a beautiful moment that always stuck with me. And then you had Captain America. He was a patriot, but he wasn't somebody that was always waving the flag, even though he wore it on his costume. Right? Captain America was always on his motorcycle. The motorcycle was stuffed in a van, and he was touring the country. Right? He was more of what Michael Landon was in Highway to oh my God, what was the name of the show?
Highway to Heaven.
Highway to Heaven. There you go. Right? Where he would do little things in little towns and protecting those people, which was, I don't want to say spoken of, but in between the End Game and Infinity War, right? Captain America gave up the costume pretty much. That's why the star was blacked out. So I love to, in my mind, associate that middle period in between those two movies with that period of Captain America in the 350s. You know, that was a great time. And that Captain America movie was money in the bank for me. I mean, it gave us that costume, the original Captain America costume. We understand why they don't use comic book accurate costumes. The best of that series was Winter Soldier. I mean, hot damn. That was, I think, the best Marvel movie, hands down. But Captain America's best moment was in Endgame when he had the Avengers Assemble phrase come out of him. You know, that was him. The best arc, though, through the whole MCU, I think, was Iron Man, because you had beginning and a proper end for his storyline. But Captain America, for me, that's it. You know, and like I said, I love shield slingers, man. Oh man, my shield is rolled. Oh, my shield popped out. Damn toys. See what happens with prototypes? Oh my God.
Some of like I got introduced to all these characters via the movies, right? Like, I was not a comic book reader growing up, but now I've seen like excerpts of comic books, and I think two of my favorite excerpts of what I've seen from Captain America is the one where he's fighting against, is the guy's name Nuke, the one who was featured in the first season of Jessica Jones?
The American flag on her face.
Yes.
Yeah, and he has this comic because Nuke is like this really radicalized like version of what he thinks America is. Right. And you just have Captain America telling him like, no, we're a country of immigrants, you know, X, Y, and Z, and like really amazing speech. And then also this one speech where, you know, he's going up against Frank Castle and like, you know, pretty much talking to him and shit like through their battle. And it's like, that's just how amazing Captain America is, and that's how amazing Chris Evans has portrayed him throughout the years as well.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that.
In that hand-to-hand scene where he drops the knife and is on the street, that is like the cleanest transition ever. Like, that is very hard to duplicate. That whole sequence, everyone talks about that moment. I was blown away when he jumps on the car and rips the steering wheel out. I was just like, what the like what? Like,
I see everybody talks about that knife scene. I'm more happy with that flying knee. I mean, there's a hell of a lot more impact in a flying knee.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, like,
go ahead, Pete.
I've studied martial arts for about 25 years now, give or take. And that was one of like the first things that my teacher would show us was like, you know, street fighting kind of stuff. And, you know, if somebody tries to hit you with a knife, or they try to do so like an X block. Okay. And when he did that, when he just dropped the knife and caught it with the other hand, I'm like, why didn't I ever think of that? I was today years old when I realized I could just use my other hand.
I will say what I loved about the Russos in that movie was that first trailer where I think it ends with Bucky catching the shield. I was just like, they get it. They get it.
Yeah.
They just get it. They understand both these characters so well. And I've never heard of these directors. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like,
but the Winter Soldier, he was a relatively new concept. You know, he had only come out in the books maybe 10 years prior to that.
Right.
I'm sorry, I forgot who the writer was.
Brubaker.
Yeah. He showed up in the movie. I don't know if you know that. In the scene where they got to redo the Winter Soldier's brain pattern. Robert Redford shoves the bit in his mouth. Brubaker's one of the two scientists. He's the bald guy. Yeah, he's in that. And I mean, going back to the Russos, you had so many callbacks with people that he worked with, like Pootie, who was one of he was with them on the Community, and he was one of the guys on the computer towards the end of it.
Yep.
And then just something as simple as that on your left callback all the way down the line in Endgame. You're like,
and you know what's crazier, JD, is when you look at the latest trailer for Falcon and Winter Soldier, where he's holding the shield and the poster of Cap is behind, it's on his left. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great.
Always
That's great.
he's always on his left. I love that. I really do, because it shows a true bond that the two of those guys have, and that it's forever. But the one thing someone pointed out to me was, it's funny how in Cap's last years, how Falcon was like his true best friend. So much so, it was kind of like, Bucky, all right, man. Falcon, anyway, I love you. You're great.
I will defend that, though. I will defend that. Like, I get, like, everyone goes, oh my God, but Steve and Bucky are BFFs. Like, the whole arc to Winter Soldier and Civil War is because of Bucky. I'm like, but Steve knows that Bucky's not up for it. Not only because he was brainwashed and he did some really horrible, horrific things while brainwashed, but Bucky's also tired. Look at him in Infinity War when T'Challa comes up to him with the arm, and he just looks like he just wants to go back to like whatever he was doing on the farm and shit. He doesn't want to fight. Yeah, he doesn't want to do that. So like Cap knows, Steve knows that. He knows that Sam is there for him whenever he wants. I mean, Sam literally just met Steve and was like, if they're shooting at you, they're going to be shooting at me as well. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Sam is the person you give that to. It's like, I get it. Of course, Steve considers Bucky his BFF. I mean, again, he like everything in Civil War. We saw that clearly. But as far as the decision goes, Sam was the right person to give the shield.
Can I add to that? Can I add to that,
Yeah.
Tia? He also, he also knows that Sam is mentally sound, because he was the one that was treating those in PTSD and helping them work through the trauma, whereas Bucky still hadn't processed that. Right. And I just want to go back another second. People forget about the fight scene with George St. Pierre to start off that Winter Soldier. I mean, that's a damn good fight scene as well, man.
Yeah,
and
I'm with you on
he should. I think the rumor, the Shadow said that he's going to be in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Battlestar is also supposed to be in it.
Really?
That's
no, you're fucking lying to me, dude.
No, he's supposed to be in it too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you got me fucking excited.
I was excited seeing, speaking of like just scenes, the shot where it looks like Falcon and Bucky are kind of throwing the shield kind of off of each other, where they're kind of practicing together.
Nice.
I'm just like, oh God, they just get it. They really do. And I never would have thought you could sell me Falcon and I'd be like, I like him. Like, I've always looked at Falcon just like, don't ever put him on live act. I don't need to see any of that. I remember when they announced it, I was just like, okay.
And we all know your feelings about Anthony Mackie.
Well, no, I'm taking Anthony out of it. Just the idea of seeing
you're not a fan of Anthony Mackie?
To me, Anthony Mackie is becoming the Black Sam Worthington, to where it's just like, you're gonna like him because we're gonna put him in everything.
I got something to say after the series.
Nothing Anthony Mackie. Pete, I'm gonna go to you next. Pete, your favorite Marvel character and your favorite MCU movie.
All right, I'm totally with Tia on this. Frank Castle is my spirit animal. Like, I wasn't that huge of a fan in the 90s when I first started collecting comics, but once Garth Ennis took over, that is the Punisher to me. Now, this is a guy that will I don't need Frank fighting supervillains, Jigsaw notwithstanding. But when he's up against street crime and just murdering motherfuckers left and right, that one scene where he goes up against the sex traffickers and he ties the guy to the tree with his own intestines, Garth Ennis is a madman. He's absolutely insane. I want to have drinks with him. I want to drink whiskey and just pick his brain. And like going, T, I think you touched on it actually a moment ago when you said there was there were points where Frank goes up against Captain America a few times, and And you'll also notice that I call him Frank instead of the Punisher because I feel that connection with him. Because at any given point, I'm absolutely ready. And Jay will tell you this, like in our little like basement group chat, whenever if like civil unrest going on in the street, insanity, chaos, I'm ready for it. Just let me know when it's time to go swing a battle axe at people. I'm there. I'm ready.
We go set up shop at Pete's house.
You're never more than 6 feet from a weapon in this house. I promise you that.
You guys got to see the rest of the basement.
But there was a scene in I don't remember. Oh, Warzone. It was the second volume of Punisher Warzone when he goes up against the Avengers and he kicks all their asses amazingly with just like rubber bullets on Spider-Man and things like that. And there were moments like fights that he knows he can't win, like Wolverine, and they're just having beers. Thor comes and just chills with him. He's like, dude, stop it. Give it up. Like, we don't want to come after you, but we're going to have to. You're going to make us. And finally, it comes down to the fight in the amusement park. And the only one who manages to get the best of him, but Punisher will not give up, is Captain America. And he's fighting him tooth and nail until it comes time where like Captain America knocks him down and he's like, stay down. And he's still getting up and he's like, stand down, soldier. And he's like, sir, yes, sir. And that to me is just like the utmost of respect for not only a guy that you obviously look up to, but also your commanding officer.
Yep.
And like that is what makes the character for me. And John Bernthal brought it home for me, man. That conversation, forget the choreography, the awesomeness of his own series, that conversation on the roof with Daredevil when he
my god, so good.
You're one bad day away from being me, which is reminiscent to me of the Joker telling Batman all it takes is one bad day to drive the sanest man alive to lunacy.
Right.
And when he tells him this is the problem, this is the difference between you and me. You hit him and they get back up. I hit him and they stay down. And I'm like,
the best thing too about that is like, and it's A+ acting for both of them. Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, John Bernthal as Frank Castle. And when Matt goes, oh, did you lose someone that you love? Boo-hoo, we all lose someone. And Frank goes, loss doesn't work the same for everyone. And it's like, just so good. It's like, yeah, all right, you may look at Frank and go, that's a terrible way to react to everything. It's like, that's how he's coping with it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how he copes with this shit.
I think the best Punisher scene ever was not in the comic book, was in the season 1. I think it was episode 7, where he was tied to the chair and he was blacking in and out. And when he'd black out, he was in bed with his wife and she's just like, stay with me, stay with me. And if you're really into this series, you're like, fuck, I want him to stay with his wife and his kids. She's like, all you got to do is stay and you get to see the kids.
And it's like, no.
I would not be as strong as he was, you know? And he toughed it out because he knew somebody else needed him.
Right.
You know, he gave up his own happiness.
That was such a great scene
his
too.
Death. It meant him dying, you know, but he gave that up to protect other people. And that's like, he's not a hero, he's not a vigilante, but he had a heroic moment in that scene. And you're just like, your heart goes out to him. And that made me love John Bernthal as an actor. That one thing, because you go from the rage of keeping you fucking alive, right? And then just drifting off, you know, blacking out and be like, I want to stay. I know I need to stay, but I can't stay.
I love that because it's like what they did with John Bernthal was go deeper into Frank Castle, which I loved. But Joel knows this. There's just something so special about that opening sequence of Warzone. That opening is just, oh my god. Oh, I get excited anytime Warzone's on. What? When? The beginning. All right, hold on. Let me stop.
I don't remember the opening sequence.
JD?
I don't remember the opening sequence.
Oh, remember the dinner? The dinner where all the mafia families are having dinner? That just one family is having dinner. The lights go out. You just see the one flare, and then he's like slicing, putting knives in heads. That was just like, I was just like, That's Punisher. that is the Punisher. But like you said, Pete, what they did with Netflix was it's like, yes, is it cool to see Punisher put a switchblade in his wrist, peel it out, and kill someone? Sure. But it's even better to see the psychology behind him, like how he's still kind of yearns for his wife and his kids, and it's just like they definitely touched on something and that's the main reason why I'm like, if you're Feige, you got to keep him. Like you're putting a lot of pressure on whoever comes after him.
Right.
Although, well, Pete, did you ever see the mini movie from the Puerto Rican Punisher?
Oh God, yeah, that was awesome. Laundry Day.
Laundry Day.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm sorry, I call him the Puerto Rican Punisher because his family, the entire clan, was killed on a pier in Puerto Rico.
In Puerto Rico.
So I'm like, what?
All of them. That doesn't like immediate. All of them.
His family, his whole family.
Cousins, everybody.
I don't have many sandy blonde haired cousins like that in Puerto Rico, but whatever.
You do get them every now and then. That's like that blonde haired Italian. Like, where'd you come from? What
they came from Upper Italy.
Roy Scheider is the epitome of a Puerto Rican.
What's your favorite MCU movie, Pete?
This is like a toss up because I love Winter Soldier. I really do. I love Infinity War specifically like because nobody that I was in the theater with, and I've seen that shit a few times, and every single time after I realized what happened at the end and like he won basically, I would just like stop watching that and I just start watching people's reactions because I enjoyed them not realizing that, oh shit, like he's winning, and I laughed the very first time. I laughed like a maniacal crazy person. Like, holy shit, they actually had the balls to do this.
Yeah.
But when it really boils down, still to this day, my favorite one is the original Avengers, because I think like the amazement that I'm really sitting here watching an Avengers movie, watching the culmination of, at that point, I think it was 8 years or so, maybe even less than that, 5 years of movies actually coming together for this, because I left Iron Man when the credits rolled. And I had no idea after credits scene. What the hell that shit? My boy Ramon calls me. He's like, yo, I just got out of Iron Man. Did you stay for the credits? I'm like, and I'm looking at the theater like, they're going to let me back in, I wonder? Like, how am I going to do this? So I didn't get to see that. And I looked it up online. And I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. And I'm like, they'll never pull this off. And then they did. And then at the end, when you get that turn with Thanos, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And my friends I'm with at the time were like, who's that? And I was like, oh boy, let's just get to the car and I'll tell you all about it.
So the actor that played that part in Thanos, he came back, right?
Really?
It wasn't Josh Brolin.
Right, it was not Josh Brolin.
No. It's the Civil War, I think.
Yes.
Civil War.
Yes. In the Lagos section.
Yeah, the guy.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think what I love most about Avengers was Josh Whedon's ability to put in so many deep cuts, right? You think Iron Man with the repulsors off of Cap's shield was a nod, right? Us seeing Force, that was the one thing I was just like, I need more of that. Thor fighting Hulk, when he teases that, I'm just like, we're gonna get it. Hulk's gonna pick it up, and they kind of just tease it. I was like, oh, you bitch. But I loved it because he was able to float in so many different nods to us that to other people were just like, oh no, that's cool, and to us we're just like, oh my god, they did that. Like it was so awesome when he was able to float in and out of that. And the most important scene of Avengers that I love is that Clint runs out of arrows.
Yeah.
That is the number one thing everyone asks. How come they never run out of arrows? And I love that he runs out of them and he's able to reuse one to get himself out of the situation. But that's keen to detail.
That SNL skit is hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
I love that scene. It's so small and just like it doesn't matter. But to me, I love it because it's like I would have hated if it showed he had like 3 left. The camera comes back, there's like 90 more in there. Where did you get these from?
Yeah.
So it's like show the idea of like he only brought 90. He didn't know he'd need more than 90. Like,
I know everybody's, Josh Whedon is a pariah right now, right? But I mean, little things like that, right? Little things like the interaction between Thor and Hulk. I mean, come on, man. That was a rivalry that kept going.
Yeah.
That was a huge arc. The whole Strongest Avenger thing. It
There's-
all
Yeah,
started
it's
there.
true. Yeah, it was a running
Yeah.
gag.
Yeah.
There's so many iconic lines too in the first Avengers. I understood that reference. He's playing Galactica or whatever. I understand Galaga. I understand you made a decision, but considering it's a stupid ass decision, I'm going to choose to ignore it. There's so many iconic lines in that first Avengers movie. And it's like, yes, I'm, huh?
The camera shot, the camera twirl.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, which it's so odd to me that like Josh Whedon could pull off that first Avengers and it just be so iconic. Even though like if you look back at it now, there's some parts that are maybe a little campy because theater changes, throughout the years, whatever. But then to like give us Age of Ultron, which is like so fell flat, and it's like, how'd you give us Avengers, which was good, and then Age of Ultron, which was not so good?
I will say, I think he had the Justice
Conflict.
League problem, where Feige had an idea and
Yes.
Whedon had an idea, and Feige was like, it's my name on that door, right?
100% agree with
It's
that.
like,
Yep.
make my version, because he wanted Captain Marvel in Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I had heard
Feige
that.
was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
The blackout scene. Well, not even the blackout scene. The scene where at the end where Scarlet Witch comes floating down.
Yeah.
When he's in the balcony with Black Widow, that was really supposed to be mapped out for Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
They actually did bring in someone for that scene, like this blonde woman. She wasn't cast as Captain Marvel, but she was supposed to be like a stand-in.
Right.
Mhm.
He wanted that. Josh Whedon wanted that. Josh Whedon wanted a lot. Josh Whedon in his early concepts, Pete, for Avengers wanted scrolls.
Oh, wow.
Say it again, Joel.
He wanted the Wasp.
Yes, he also wanted the Wasp. Yeah. He wanted to go as classic Avengers as possible, and Feige was just like, "Yeah, no, we'll do that, just not now." Like,
Right.
Well, he couldn't do Skrulls because Skrulls was tied up with the Fantastic Four
Well, no,
over in Fox.
That's the misconception. Scrolls are allowed. Super Scrolls are not allowed.
Really?
Couldn't
Well,
give them powers.
They went around that with the Ultimates line and using the Chitauri, which were the
Right.
stand-ins.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why they went Chitauri, right?
Mhm.
And to be honest, like Joel always says, context is so important. It wouldn't have made any sense if you put the scrolls there. It just wouldn't have. It wouldn't have. Now it would because we have the scrolls.
Yeah, I know about that.
But back then, it would have been like, when are you going to explain why we have scrolls? Like, and then it just would have made everything confusing. Like, is he a scroll? Is he a scroll? Is he a scroll? Like, it just, it would have sent the rabbit hole we didn't need to be in. But
and now the Skrulls are the peace-loving ones, whereas the Kree are the Nazis.
I was gonna say
right?
for now, I think that's gonna change.
Right.
But Pete, what I would give to that first Avengers that really had me in awe was everyone. They're kind of beaten down. You see Banner pull up in that little moped. And
The greatest scene. It's my favorite scene.
And when he says, "I'm always angry," or "I'm always,"
another iconic line.
Yep.
I was like, "Yes,
I felt that shit in my soul, man." I'm like,
Yeah.
I am always angry.
right?" The one thing on that is they never went back to that. So remember how easily he transformed into Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
It's never that way again going forward. Like it was either like Hulk was like, "Nah, I want to come out."
Yeah.
Or Banner was just like, all right, come on. Like it was never that easy ever again.
Right. That's right.
Just like, well, at least we got it there. But what were you gonna say really quickly, Jaydee?
Well, I mean, not just that, but look at the actor who shot him out. You had Henry Dean Stanton, who was the one that found him when he crashed through the ceiling. And it was a stupid little throwaway line. You're gonna need some pants. But I mean, come on, you got Harry Dean Stanton in there just for that one line.
I'm not familiar with him. Who's that?
Dude, he's a classic 70s actor. He's the character actor of character actors. He was in Escape from New York. He was in oh my God. He was Escape from New York. He was in The Green Mile. He was in the first Alien.
Okay.
Wait,
was he was the No, he wasn't the robot. He was the.
No.
I remember him from Alien. Okay, I do.
Right.
You're gonna
He
think I'm
was-
blasphemous. I never actually have seen.
He was the
Escape from
one.
New
He
York.
was the one that he brought the cat on. The cat was his pet on
Right,
Alien.
Yes.
All right. So Harry Dean Stanton is a classic character actor. I mean, his film credits are longer than. Well, I can't. There's a woman present, so I can't say what
No, but
I get it. I
I
get
mean,
it.
you're absolutely right. And the crazier thing is, no one ever gives to your boy Loki any credit. Loki.
You didn't go to me yet. You
No, no,
didn't
no, no.
pick me
I'm
yet.
about to go to you, but I'm saying to give Loki some credit. Loki was Zemo before Zemo. Like, Zemo wasn't the first one to divide the Avengers. It legit took Coulson to have the Avengers go, all right, I'll fight with you. Like if it wasn't for that, it was legit. They disbanded. They went their separate ways. So it's like, and Loki did that without even having to do a thing. He didn't have to say nothing. He just showed up and looked at the Hulk and gave him a head nod, and everything just went crazy. Like that's how dope Loki is. But Tia, I'm gonna pass it over to you. Favorite?
Oh, thank you.
Favorite Marvel movie?
So obviously I could go like on and on about Frank Castle, John Bernthal's Frank Castle. I think Pete did an amazing job, breaking it down. So many iconic moments. I mean, again, like I know I keep saying this, it's just to give you guys context, like I don't know who these characters are before any of this. And just to go really quick about it, I had watched the first season of Daredevil, and the second season of Daredevil came out, and I wasn't really attached to these characters like that yet. And people kept saying, like, the Punisher's in it, the Punisher's in it. And I didn't even know really who the Punisher was, but I knew how much he meant to fans. So I was like, let me check this out. The first moment that John Bernthal steps into that hospital, and everything after that. I mean, the little things. Pete was talking about how he's ready to fight 24/7. I mean, the moment when, Frank Castle goes to pick up some stuff from that really pervy thrifter and like literally discovers he's into, and like, it's just amazing. So I can go on and on and on about, oh yeah, so great. He's like, I could go on and on and on about how much I love Frank Castle, but just to add a different person, I have to add the character who made me even start loving Marvel in the first place, and it's Loki. Like, I watched the first Iron Man when it came out in theaters, and I remember being so impressed when he said, "I am Iron Man," because I was like, that's nothing I've ever seen before. The superheroes never reveal who they are, and I was just like, that's so badass. But then seeing the first Thor movie and seeing Loki, seeing Tom Hiddleston, an actor I've never seen before, in that scene where he's with Odin discovering his origins and he just yells at him to tell him the truth finally after all these years. I was like, that to me was just such great acting. It made me just completely want to be enamored with this world. And when it was like, oh, Loki's not dead, he's coming back and he's up to his manipulative ways and he's the main villain of the first Avengers. I just love his character. His character is obviously so different now than what we've seen, but I love, honestly, the story arc, because you have this character who is, was, as he said, he yells, he goes, I'm the person that, mothers tell their children to stay away from at night, and like this very pained process of always feeling like he was living in brother's shadow. It's like, yeah, we love Thor, he's a good person, but you can tell that before everything he was a bit of a douchebag. And you could imagine what that was like, and just how clever Loki was. I love the scene in the first Avengers where he's like walking down the staircase and he takes his staff and just like whacks that one person. I mean, it's just so amazing. I love the whole story arc. I loved at the end, even though Thor: The Dark World is like an unbearable and like unwatchable movie.
Oh, don't say that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Because especially that you like Loki, because he had the best arc in that movie.
Well, I was going to say, I skipped to his scenes. I was like, I skipped to Loki's scene. I love at the end of Thor: The Dark World where, Thor walks away and Odin appears as Loki. And people have pointed out since then, you could have tell that was Loki all along, because Odin never stood, kind of in his chair with his legs wide open and shit, and that was very much a Loki pose. Loki losing his mother. I just love his arc, especially in Ragnarok. Especially in Ragnarok when they finally became brothers and they finally put their bullshit aside.
Yeah.
Do I wish Loki had a better death in Infinity War? Considering it's like, did you not know that Thanos was going to catch you? You came with a little dagger trying to like go at him. But I still love it. I love Tom Hiddleston as Loki. So when we saw him back in an Endgame and it was teasing for a Loki show, I was happy as hell. So yes, Loki is my favorite character of Marvel because it made Tom Hiddleston as Loki made me care for this universe in the first place. As far as favorite movie goes, Winter Soldier. I can't even put anything in its place. It's still the best movie in the MCU. And, when Infinity War came out, I kind of put that as number one just because it was so fresh. And while Infinity War certainly is probably in the top 3 for me, it has to be Winter Soldier. At the time that Winter Soldier came out, Marvel had its sort of formula. I went to that theater and I was like, I'm seeing something that I've not seen in Marvel before, a spy thriller. Again, the whole thing with Hydra, I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know any of that. So my mind is freaking blown. Love the dynamic between Natasha and Steve and then Sam, the whole entire thing. I mean, you guys talked about it. I don't need to go any further as to why the Winter Soldier's the best freaking Marvel movie, and the hand-to-hand combat. I'm a big fan of that. I like that better than big fight scenes, just that one-on-one back and forth. So yeah, the Winter Soldier to me will always be the best freaking, which by the way, really quick, is why I'm excited for the Winter Soldier show and why I'm excited for the Black Widow movie, because it looks like it's a return to that.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah,
spy thriller. Yeah,
Yes.
apparently Marvel. I would have never expected a company that gives you a guy that can fly in a robot suit that specializes in spy thrillers. Like, okay.
By the way, one of my favorite scenes in The Winter Soldier, I don't know if people talk about it, but it's the scene where frickin' Brock Rumlow is pointing his gun at that one computer guy to like, and he's like, sorry, I can't. And frickin' Sharon Carter comes up and she's like, captain's orders and everything. I don't frickin' know. I love that shit. And I like that actress as well. So yeah, that whole thing is awesome.
what about the rapport between Black Widow and Captain America when they kick the guy off the balcony, but then they start talking about his dating life.
Yeah, I love her banter in that movie was so awesome. When she first comes and she's like, I'm looking for a fossil, where's the Smithsonian or something.
I love what you were saying, Jaydee, because right before that, I love how the guy's like, you won't let me go. I know you won't kick me off the roof. And he's like, you're right. But she will, and then she just can't come up.
And she's like, "What about the girl in the whatever?" He goes, "The one with the lip thing."
He's like, "I'm not." He goes, "I'm not ready for all that."
Yes,
that was definitely good. And that movie was obviously till now was one of the only other times really in the MCU they ever came to New Jersey. So shout out to.
I've been to Jersey a couple of times.
Wait, by the way, another.
Yeah. They went to Jersey a bunch of times.
Yeah. Captain America.
The first Captain America, they were in Jersey.
To be fair, I forget that movie so easily. Okay.
You should rewatch it because it used to be low on my list, and I rewatched it probably last year, and I was like, you know what? This is good. This is good. To me, the Captain America trilogy is the most solid trilogy in the MCU.
Right. Yeah. No. And the only thing lower than nothing's lower than Jersey. So low. No. Jersey's. I'm sorry. There is something lower than Jersey. I apologize. Staten Island. Staten Island is lower than Jersey.
There we go.
I'm right next to Staten Island.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in Jersey, you could take Staten Island if you want. Anybody in New York is willing to give it up easily.
It looks just like Jersey. Same shit.
Might as well be. I mean, none of us want it. You got to pay the toll on either side to get into.
I've never even been to Staten Island.
You're not missing anything.
Most people in New Jersey don't like New Jersey, so it's like, but we don't need other people to say they don't like it.
It's easy for me. It's easy.
We don't like it. Yeah, we get it.
Right.
Oh, I wanted to say one more line in the Winter Soldier. Again, just like that amazing banter and Natasha always trying to like get Steve to date someone. And
Yeah.
she says something like about your Friday night. And he's like, well, all the members of my like, dinner quartet or something are dead. So,
Barbershop Quartet. Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. I love it. Best movie.
Joel, favorite Marvel character and favorite MCU movie?
My favorite Marvel character is that guy. He's always been my favorite character. Spider-Man, and then probably Wolverine is a close second. But yeah, definitely Spider-Man. Since I was a kid, I always connected with him. Like I always said this is the one thing I always said. So with Spider-Man, he was always someone I could relate to. So Batman was a character I wanted to be, but Spider-Man is who I was. Like that's just who I like as a person. We're very similar. So like I always saw myself in him in that regard. So that was my character growing up, and like that was my introduction to Marvel in general was really Spider-Man and the Hulk and then the X-Men. So that was my childhood. The Avengers I had some comic books, but they weren't very big characters, and I knew them, but I didn't care as much as I'd like. They were definitely not like where they are now because of the movies. I like most of these characters, like characters I didn't give a shit about when I was a kid, especially like Thor and Iron Man. I had a thing with blonde people and mustaches. I just couldn't get into it. So when it came to those comic books, like people that had that, I just didn't really care for it. So I don't know, it was a weird quirk. But yeah, Spider-Man was number one Marvel character for the longest time. And look, I benefited because obviously a lot of people like Spider-Man, and there's been we're going on our 8th Spider-Man live action movie. Yeah, I've been blessed. We got one of the best animated Spider-Man movies ever. So like, yeah. I can't complain. It's been good for me, even though the fandom and the Spider-Man fandom has been very toxic lately because they just can't seem to agree on which is the best Spider-Man. But who gives a fuck? Just to like who you like, right?
Exactly.
But like Tom Holland Spider-Man, I remember when it happened. I remember the day it happened, because it was always rumors that there was a chance that Spider-Man would be able to go back and work with the MCU, and it happened in the middle of the fucking night that they came to an agreement that Spider-Man was going to be going to the MCU, and they're gonna share custody type of thing, and I lost my fucking mind because like that's all I've ever wanted since the Avengers started was why can't Spider-Man play in that sandbox? In my head.
And do you remember like before that happened, all the memes of like Tobey Maguire sitting outside like crying like I can't join? It was an amazing feeling when you could finally get him in the mix.
And I really wanted Andrew Garfield. I really wanted him to come back, because I loved Andrew Garfield.
You didn't want Leonardo DiCaprio?
I did. I want Leonardo.
Oh man, you're going way back.
Pete knows what I'm talking about there. So when the rights between oh my God, Titanic guy, what's his name?
James Cameron.
Right, and his wife, they were fighting over the stuff. Right, the rumor was early '90s.
Yeah,
right? It was Leo DiCaprio, and who was the redhead that was dating Bobcat Goldthwait for a while?
It's Nikki Cox.
Nikki Cox.
Was it Nikki Cox?
Was supposed to be
Mary Jane.
She was supposed to be Mary Jane. Yep. Wizard Magazine was pushing that for
fucking love
2 years.
Wizard Magazine, bro.
Yeah. If you want to go deeper, Jaydee, Michael Jackson wanted to be Spider-Man.
Yes.
Wow. If you want to go really far back.
Dude,
and thank Odin that didn't happen.
You know what I'm saying? You want to go far back. All right. Everybody's talking, there's this toxic fandom, right? You said you should like what you like. I had a Red Brown Captain America. Do you know who Red Brown was?
I saw that.
Okay. If you get the chance, go back. Red Brown was a 1970s shit for nothing actor. Okay. A big for nothing. He drove a motorcycle where you put Captain America's clear plastic shield as the visor of the motorcycle.
I've seen
he wore
that,
the helmet, all right, and he wore a V pattern. That was my superhero stuff, right? And then I had Mark Salinger, Captain America, with the Italian Red Skull. Right? At least I had a Red Skull, but he was Italian with fake ears, and Ned Beatty was a newspaper reporter that found him in fucking the snows of Wisconsin or some shit like that. All right. Yeah. We had we had the shit of fucking fantastic. We had a Roger Corman Fantastic Four film that was only made so this guy can keep the fucking license, and then eventually ended up selling it to Fox. All right. That was the shit that we had. So if we had fucking garbage like that way back fucking when, all right, you should be excited to what we have.
Can I
All right,
just
if it
say,
wasn't for Blade, nobody would have known what we could have in these movies.
We're excited for it. It's just other people that can't seem to be happy. It's like they say that they're fans, and it's like they're never freaking happy about anything. I'm a Spider-Man fan, but literally Tom Holland is like, the devil or something like that. It's just like, what the hell
The
is?
problem with that fandom is, and I learned this from the Snyder Cult. The problem with the fandom today is they're not fans of the characters; they're fans of the actors. They get attached to the actors. So when you replace the actors,
they're not even fans of that, dude. They're not. They're fans of having it their way. But guess what? You haven't worked fucking hard enough to be in any of the fucking positions to make these types of decisions. So shut the fuck up. Pay your $2 that you're gonna fucking pay, or watch it on your friend's bootleg fucking stream. All right, and get on with it. Get fucking on with it.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they're fans of the character. It took a minute, but I quickly let go of Robert Pattinson being Batman. Why? Because I was getting more Batman. Like, that's how much I love Batman. And I'm just like, all right, yeah, sure. I don't really like it, but I'll take it. Okay, sure, whatever. Because I like Batman. But you get a lot of these people that are like, I love the actor or I love the directors, but they have to always be a part of it. And it's like, that's not how any of this works. That's
people are flipping out over the casting of this Supergirl. So fucking what? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, listen, like I love John Bernthal as Frank Castle, Like, and I would love for John Bernthal to come back. Let's say hypothetically Kevin Feige didn't, right? Yeah, I'd be bummed out. I'd be like, really, Kevin, that was perfect casting, A+. But maybe he brings in someone who adds a different flair to Frank Castle. Who knows? Like, you just roll with it. If you're a fan of the series, you're a fan of the freaking series.
Right. What were you gonna say, Pete? Before I go back to Joe.
Sorry.
Oh no, just in terms of like actors and whatnot coming back. I don't know the girl who is now cast as Supergirl, so I have no opinion one way or the other. But when I heard the rumors over the weekend, and they are very strong rumors, that Jennifer Lawrence was possibly being cast as Storm. Well, let's just say there's a face-sized dent in my wall that looks like me, because oh God, this girl just phoned it in all of them last X-Men movies. And I know them movies suck, and maybe that's why she was bored. So I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. But if this bitch ruins Fantastic Four going forward, I'm going to be one pissed off fucking nerd.
See, I don't care as much as her than the stupid fucking shitty CGI or effects they're going to do for the Thing. They have yet to do the Thing right. There's two things you got to get right with the Thing. You got to get his fucking eyebrow right, that Magnum sticking out eyebrow, and you got to give him that fucking Optimus Prime underjaw. That's it. If you can't get those two things right, I don't give a shit whether he has a rocky penis or not. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't want him to be small either, though. That's the first.
Oh, you don't want a small rocky penis?
I don't want a small.
Okay, that's your prerogative, brother.
Yeah,
you're cool with that. You know what I mean?
He's a walking small rocky.
Maybe
penis.
A little too much.
No, but look, to me, it's one of those things where if Fox is doing another Fantastic Four, I'd be nervous. With Kevin Feige doing it, I feel as though we'll get the best versions of these characters, unlike we've gotten before.
That's the only thing that's giving me faith.
And also,
in Feige we trust.
It is just a rumor. You never know how true it is or how untrue it is. So they could just be saying it and all that, because I feel like the one thing that this Evan Peters coming back as like Pietro or Quicksilver or whatever has for people have been like, oh well, that means they're bringing back every Fox X-Men actor, and it's like, no, not necessarily. That doesn't mean anything.
This is why in the geek community you can't do nothing nice, because you don't know how to just accept some shit and go to bed. They don't know. As soon as they announced the Snyder Cut, what was the very first thing?
Release the Ayer cut.
No, the very next thing was, you should let them do Man of Steel 2. Can you let this come out? You're asking for more. You weren't even supposed to get this. just be happy. Be happy.
But they're not. None of them are, and I think that's why they hate everything. Is they're just not happy. But I'm no psychologist.
And that's why they get angry at fans like us, because they're like, well, you just accept anything that's given to you. It's like, yeah, it's a movie. Like,
Yeah,
how
I'm not the one paying for it to get done.
I grew up watching old ass shit.
To me, you learn this at a young age. You can't give energy to things you can't control.
Right.
It's like being angry that it's snowing. It's like, you do know you can't stop that, right? Like, no matter how much you hate it, the snow's not going to go, oh, you hate me? I won't show up no more. Like, that's not how
I still get angry when it snows.
Yeah, I hate the snow. I can't stand the
because I got a shovel, but still.
Yeah, that's the worst.
They go into this. I'm sorry, one final thought. They go into it, I think, wanting to hate it or just waiting to be displeased. Whereas T, you're absolutely right. When I hear that something new's coming out, I'm already happy.
Me too.
90%. I'm happy for whatever's happening, and I'm just spoon feed it to me. I'm going into this wanting to be entertained, wanting to be happy with it. I was happy when I got Jaydee, going back to what you were saying. What we grew up on, the Return of the Incredible Hulk, when he fought Thor, who was I can't think of the blonde guy's name, but that was awesome. That was one of my favorite movies.
Hell yeah.
What about this guy is Daredevil, Rex?
Yes. Yes.
He did the black suit before Charlie Cox.
He did the black suit. Exactly. Yeah. Or whatchamacallit? Baywatch Nick Fury. Or
man. Yes.
Generation X. I don't know if you guys remember.
I never watched that one.
TV movie.
I missed that
was shit.
when it aired, and many years later, I watched it on YouTube. And I'm happy I missed it.
And then there was 1970s porno Doctor Strange with the porno stash and the Brady's perm.
And Shazam, 70s Shazam.
Sam.
I'm saying 70s
that they drove into Winnebago. That's right.
They don't understand what we had to go through for them to enjoy the caliber of television and movies of today.
Yes.
Spoiled brats.
Yeah.
Man.
It's like, you don't deserve half of what you got. Somewhere there's some old guy that's just like, if you only had to know what I had to experience
right.
to see Thanos on the big screen today, like, you little selfish prick. But Joel, your favorite MCU movie?
I don't know anymore. There's been so many. Like I can do the same ones you guys use. Like Winter Soldier was awesome, and fucking Infinity War. I really liked Endgame. I know a lot of people, there are people that don't, but I really loved Far From Home.
I love Far From Home.
Great.
I just know there's people that didn't like it. So
the Tom Holland haters.
Yeah,
it had a lot of callbacks. Good. That was good.
Hell yeah, and they nailed Mysterio. Like, that's all I mattered. Yeah. Like, they nailed it.
Costume is beautiful.
At this point, I see the MCU as like a fucking season of a show. Because I rarely watch it because I watch it all like in a series, so it's hard for me to like pinpoint where I love it the most. But obviously there are moments like, so obviously the first time I saw Winter Soldier, it was special. This movie was different than everything that came before. Why? It just, if you watch it, you'll know it's just different. Same thing with like Black Panther, at least for me. It's just like it felt different when you watched it. But like, and I love seeing characters I read as the comic book or the cartoons, the way they portrayed it. But I live to see these things come to life. I always love the live action. So like, finally seeing this come, at least what Marvel has been able to do thus far, it's been great. It's been amazing for me.
So Marvel has like rarely disappointed. Like, the only films for me, Age of Ultron and Thor: The Dark World. But I think when I saw them in theaters, I wasn't that disappointed with them.
Really, Iron Man 3 you were okay with? Because that's my black sheep.
That was garbage.
I didn't think it was that bad. I went and rewatched it, and I was like,
everyone's different. Everyone's different.
I could go back to Thor: Dark World and accept most of those faults more than I can how outrageously bad they did Mandarin. They did.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like,
Like I
The
can
thing with
Dark World more than I can Iron Man 3.
the thing with Thor: The Dark World is it's so ugly looking. Like, why did it have this like really gross green
Dark.
filter? Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole
It's
entire.
in
It's
the
like I get
title.
it's a.
The dark-
I get that, but it's like
The name?
you don't have to be so ugly. And that movie made me hate Jane and Darcy. Like it made me hate how
Okay.
Mary Sue. But for those who are like fan fiction writers, I was a fan fiction writer back in the day, and there's a term called Mary Sue. If you want to look it up, that's exactly what Jane and Darcy were that entire movie, and it bought. What'd you say?
I said Star Wars fans would know what that is.
Yes, exactly. It
Hell yeah.
it was just like it was so unbearable. They made it unbearable, and I just hated the way it looked. I hated the dark elves. They were the most boring freaking villains I've ever seen. But yeah, no, plenty of Loki awesome scenes. Like again, I skipped to those scenes.
And I find it so funny, Tia, because whenever you tell most people like you didn't like Iron Man 3, they'll tell you like, oh, you don't respect the PTSD that Stark was going through. It's like, dude, that's like the only thing I could buy coming out of that movie.
Right.
Everything else was just like, where was Feige when this was made? Like, he signed off on this? How?
Like,
Well, because it was a different director. John Favreau didn't direct it.
Feige sign off on.
No, I know, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I went back and I was like, it's not that bad if you took out like, you know, a lot of it.
The whole movie? Yeah.
the Nexus piece, it's a little off.
Like to me, the thing with the Iron Man 3 is that I didn't get the like the gravity of like how bad it was to not get the Mandarin correctly until after the movie and like seeing who the Mandarin actually was and thinking like, all right, yeah, of course people are going to be pissed. This is a Asian character that you got, you know, a non-Asian person to play, and then it's like, oh
he
no,
is
but
Asian.
it's not really.
He
That's
is
true,
Asian.
He is.
Yes, he's part
Right.
Indian.
That's still wrong, though.
Yeah, I mean,
wrong.
because he's Chinese. I'm sorry, but it's like I can understand that, but then you know, that little short, "All Hail the King." It's like
Yeah.
seeing
That is a
that,
great
and
short. I love that.
yeah, it's a great short, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. It made me like really excited for the whole Mandarin, the 10 Rings, and I'm like, all right, then we should have got that in frickin' Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
So that's the
I
whole
was
thing.
I was one of those few people that my anger couldn't even reach Mandarin because of the disrespect they showed AIM and then the disrespect they showed extremists. I was just like,
I want them damn high beehive costumes.
yeah, I was just like, how many times are you gonna say strike out before it's just like, all right, enough. Like enough. Like at least Thor: The Dark World, I'm like, all right, Chris Hemsworth, great. I love Loki. That scene where Loki feels the moment where he loses his mom. You can see that it hurt.
Great moment. Yep.
Her getting the Viking funeral. There was just so many elements that I'm like, I could hang my hat on that. There's a lot of Iron Man 3 that I'm like, if you give me the first 10, 15 minutes and then nothing else, I would say I really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was great. But Thor: The Dark World, I get why people don't like it, but I could just find a lot more that I can hang my hat on that I enjoyed than I can in Iron Man 3. Like Iron Man 3 blatantly looked me in my face and spit at me. Like that's how I perceived that movie. Just right in my face.
I did like the Mandarin, the fake Mandarin.
Yeah,
In
before
the
the
movie.
fake out.
I did. Trevor
Yeah.
Slattery. I loved him.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And to resort to a drunkard and then give us a 1980s cheap Miami Vice knockoff show that he starred in. I was like, I popped for those little moments.
Yeah, no, it would have been nice if they would have just like gotten to the real Mandarin sooner, because that short All Hail the King came out in 2014. We're now in 2021.
As a matter of fact, I think it was the Thor Dark World Blu-ray that had it on it.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
And it's crazy, Tia, because speaking of 2021, this is the year we're getting Mandarin.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like Iron Man 3 didn't really make me feel like there was a real Mandarin out there. It just kind of made me feel like it was a character you never really had any interest in using, so you kind of just use him as like a throwaway. And I'm
they were scared to use them.
The 10 Rings, the terrorist group, the 10 Rings.
Yeah.
That's what made me like wait for the Mandarin. And I'm with you, Jay. I actually I forget the actor's name, and I know he's very famous. And thank you, Ben Kingsley. I didn't actually mind the whole I'm just a fucking method actor. I'm cool with this. The part that, and there's a real Mandarin out there, and we're gonna get to see him. And then when Guy Pearce is just standing there like, I'm the Mandarin, I'm like, nope.
I know.
Like, can't do that.
Nope.
I'm out.
That's when you lost me.
The Trevor
let me
Slattery
tie-
thing wasn't bad when you found out like that he wasn't the real Mandarin. Like that was fine. I will agree. That was like great. But yeah, no, that
I didn't like.
and I used to really like Guy Pearce as an actor.
I still like him. I just can't stand that part.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. That was
if
it.
I could tie this all into our figure stuff, right?
Mhm.
And go into what Juwaan showed us earlier with the armor gallery. Shit, you had every fucking piece of armor for Iron Man
That was
displayed
dope.
that he had designed. How come we didn't get those as movie tie-in figures?
That vault that I showed you guys, there was only like 5 figures in there, and I'm just
I would have been all over that. I don't care if you give me Hydro armor spacesuit Iron Man. I don't care. I would have jumped all over it. I really would have. I think the only time I saw the entire line were in 1/12 or 1/10 statues at New York Comic Con. Pete, I think I sent you a bunch of pictures of all of them one year, and they had them all lined up, but they were going for like $500-600 a statue.
Well,
Not
if you
gonna
want
pay
to
for that.
if you want to ever set your wallet on fire, Sideshow has like a whole display of that scene.
yeah.
It's really
Dude.
dope.
Oh my God, no!
All right,
I-
so to end us out on the night, we're going to talk 2 quick things. JD, I'm going to go to you for WandaVision.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on WandaVision? What were your thoughts on this latest episode of WandaVision?
It's hard for me to see Monica as Spectrum when she was always Captain Marvel for me. All right.
So yes.
I grew up in that point when I came into comics. That was that 260s Avengers and up, and she was part of the team then. You know what I mean? And she led the team up until about 300, just before 300. She was involved in the really good Masters of Evil storyline, where the Masters took over the Avengers, beat the shit out of everybody. So to see her as Spectrum, which I never really liked, or a Spectrum or Photon, it's not clicking for me. I like the reveals. Yes, I'm hooked on the series. I'm not saying no to any of that. I like when they were breaking the fourth wall. I like stuff like The Office and What We Do in the Shadows when they talk to the camera. So that stuff worked for me. I liked how they were delaying the Vision to getting to her. Was that Wanda or was that Agatha? It was probably Agatha because she knew about being on that part of town. Right. But it's like, unless you know everything somebody was putting up a video on how the hexagons were what held Doctor Strange's books in place in the Doctor Strange movie. And I'm like, right? I'm like, is that great anticipation, foreshadowing, or just a design aesthetic from way back when? If that's something that Kevin Feige had plugged in from all the way back then, goddamn, he's a fucking genius. If this is just
if
right,
you ask Kevin, he's gonna tell you yes.
Yeah, but if that's a design aesthetic, then okay. Is it the Darkhold thing? I don't know. Is it a different book? I don't know. I'm all over the place, Pete. I think I said this in our chat room. I'm fried, dude. I'm fried. I'm fried trying to figure out the theories. I'm just like, you know what? Let me sit back and enjoy it. It's coming next, okay? And I'll watch a video or two afterwards of somebody explaining it because they're up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Good for you. I can't do that.
Yeah, I can't either.
I'm just at this point. I'm the opposite of the toxic fandom. It's come out of me. I'm beyond the trying to figure it out fandom. I'm like, okay, how did you weave this in? I'm looking forward more to that secret episode, the making of final episode, than I am the final episode. Right? When it comes to storytelling, this episode should be it, right? Because the last episode, that's the anti-climax. This is your climax episode, right? The last episode, right? The main part of the story should finish within the first half hour of the episode, and then you have, the last half hour will be the epilogues, finishing everything off. So I'm looking forward to this one more than anything else. But I do want to see that making of to see how they tied everything in.
Yeah. And I was really interested in hearing Feige say earlier today that the Evan Peters thing was something pretty early in development of this show
Really?
that they wanted.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that
Dude,
was-
I even saw a video of when he was promoting the last X-Men movie, and they were asking him questions, and you see him, answer things sheepishly or almost divulge things, and you're like, okay, so they had this plan from way back when.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see how this ties directly into Spider-Man. We know Spider-Man Far From Home takes place a few months after, maybe a few months up to a year after Endgame. This is right after Endgame is WandaVision. So
It's like a month out.
Right. So the fact that he brings up the word multiverse in Far From Home, and we know that WandaVision will open the multiverse, and it does take place before it. It's all really cool. I mean, it even plays into the name. What was the name for Spider-Man? No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Yeah.
Right.
No way.
No way home.
I love
This is a setup series. That's how I see it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Right?
This
Yep.
is the first arc.
Yep. So everything after this feels ripple effects.
They're setting the table with this. Spider-Man is more so kind of like kind of getting you started, and then that main meal is Doctor Strange too. But one thing I wanted to throw to you guys, we're gonna end it on Spider-Man, the name that we got. I'm really starting now. KJ from Kind of Nerdy Girls said this, that he's denying it so much that it just feels like he's lying, right? Like he's now saying it so much no one's even asking him. Like they're like, "Hey Tom, how you doing this morning?" Look, there's no Andrew Garfield or Tobey. Like I didn't even ask you. But to me, I kind of feel as though there's something in the middle of that. And what I mean by that is I do think the reason Electro and Alfred Molina are the only ones confirmed is it's very possible that he is sent through the multiverse and he is fighting in the Sam Raimi verse and then fighting in the Mark Webb verse. And I think it's possible that to those people in that universe, his Spider-Man looks like the one that we're used to Andrew and Tobey's looking like. So to them, that's their Spider-Man. They don't see it as like an alternate Spider-Man. So maybe that's possibly why Andrew and Tobey maybe aren't in it. I wouldn't like it if they're not, because it's like you won't get an opportunity to do a Spider-Verse like this.
Yeah, no.
Without like forcing it. This is the most organic you'll be able to work something like that in there. But if I'm starting to work myself away from them being in it, so that if they're not, I'm like, okay, I didn't think maybe that they would be, but if they are, I'm gonna fucking go bananas. But I love the name. I did freeze frame the board to see if there was anything interesting on there. The only thing interesting is how many names they went through. They went. One of them was homeschooling. One of them was, I think, Zoom something. Like they just ran through a whole bunch of different ideas for the name of the movie. I enjoy it. I will say this: the one thing that caught me off guard. You guys know when WandaVision ends and then it statics and then the "Please Stand By" comes on. The title did that in that little snippet that they gave us of the name reveal. After they showed the board, it kind of went, it staticked, and then it said "No Way Home." So I'm really curious if that's a connection right there of how the opening the multiverse is kind of like leaking out into other parts of the MCU. So that's my thoughts on it. Pete, I'll go to you first. Your thoughts on the our official title for Spider-Man 3.
I'm just literally imagining him. If you remember the Spider-Man animated series from the mid to late '90s, and he in the last season, he's traveling through these different realities and trying to find Mary Jane, as it were, which never got resolved. But that's another whole show. And he joins with Madam Web, and they're gonna go find her somewhere within the multiverse. I'm imagining something to that effect. Like there's a reason that he has to go. Like I don't think he's gonna get like sucked into a portal or something. Thundercat style, like when Lionel went into the Book of Omens or something. I think he's gonna have to jump through the portal for some reason, and it's probably gonna have to do with Mary Jane, I think. And I would love to see.
Remember, she's not Mary Jane.
I'm sorry, MJ. You're right.
She's practically she is
Michelle
Mary Jane.
Jones.
Yeah, she's
And-
Michelle Jones.
And
Listen, man,
Mephisto
I'm-
plays a big part in tying Mary Jane's, erasing Mary Jane from Peter's memory.
Right. Who I
Sorry.
also think that, we talked about this on Saturday, and I'm really hoping for it. But nevertheless, I want to see him traveling through the multiverse and, like you said, fighting those villains. And yeah, I'm hoping he encounters the Spider-Man of those timelines as well.
Yes.
And like,
Yes.
hey, come with me. Let's do all this together. I'm totally down for that.
I will say this, Pete. I do find it very interesting that filming is well underway. It'll be done soon. And we have no idea who the main villain is of this.
Right.
No idea. I think that's because there isn't one main villain. I think there's
What
six.
if it's all of them?
I think there's 6 main villains. To me, usually, I prefer Spider-Man to fight on his own because that's Spider-Man. But in this scenario, I need 3 against 6.
Yeah.
I need it. I do. So that's the only shred of hope that I have that he's lying and those 2 guys are in it, is that usually by now, knowing our profession, it's leaked who the main villain is.
Right.
The fact that nothing about a main villain has come out, to me, kind of makes me feel like because there's 6 of them. Like, there's not 1, there's 6. But Joel, I'm gonna pass it to you. Your thoughts on the name reveal?
I'm happy we finally got a name reveal. Holding it back for so long, and then them teasing it yesterday with 3 different not the name reveals.
That was so good.
I was like, what is going on? So they finally drop it today. No Way Home seems very ominous. That's seems like a sucky situation. So I'm very curious how this movie is going to play out narratively, act wise. Like, how is this going to work? That's where my mind is at, because I'm like, I can't picture it right now how it's going to flow, considering what we know and what we haven't had confirmed yet. So at this point, I'm just gonna let it ride. It's a little confusing.
I will for sure. And by the way, this is something that I really enjoyed. On that board that they crossed out, one of the names they were flirting with was Spider-Man Homeworld.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like,
Homeworlds.
okay.
And then it scratched it out, and then next to it said boring.
Right. It's a bit boring, kind of like a nod to us, like, relax. Mm-hmm. No, we're not doing that. Also, Home Alone was on there, and then it's scratched out, and underneath it says already taken, like, not an actual Home Alone movie. Mm-hmm. But I will say, because Joel, I look into everything. The photo of Ned, MJ, and Peter, you kind of see like a big shadowy figure on the shirt. Gotta be Doctor Strange. Like, that has to be when they first kind of encounter him. But I like the idea of No Way Home because it kind of has multiple meanings, multiple home worlds. It also could mean now that he's outed, he can't go home. There's no way to go home. You can't go back to your old life.
True.
Literally.
Literally. So I'm with you.
So you have to make a deal with the devil to get back home.
Shush you. You shush.
I want nothing more than Mephisto. So I am with you. Give me Mephisto on a 3 arc.
Yeah. And then you can tie it into Black Panther, and then you can tie it in. Look, I'm tired.
You're gonna warp me into needing Mephisto for more than just WandaVision.
He's definitely gonna be the villain in Doc Strange too. But again, we can wait for another day for that.
For sure. I'll go to you. Your thoughts on the name reveal?
Yeah. I like it. I think, as you guys are saying, it makes sense. He literally can't go home. We saw Far From Home end with him literally being his identity being outed, and as well as being accused of murder. So, to me, that goes to show. First of all, I love the name reveal. It was so great. Like Tom going, well, I don't leak anything. What are you guys talking about? And Zendaya's like, uh, what planet you been living? I almost didn't believe that was the name. I was like, you won't fool me. I saw all the other fake names. You're not gonna fool me with this one. So I love that. I don't think that I'm as, say, invested in whether or not Toby and Andrew come in. I would like it just because it would make sense and it'd be fun, but it's if it doesn't happen, it's not something that would be overly upset about. I will say I wish I didn't read these rumors, but the rumors that of like Charlie Cox coming in as Matt Murdock and the fact that they're going to film a courtroom scene, I'm like, I want it to happen so badly, but the more you're teasing, I'm like, stop it, because if I get the movie and it doesn't happen, again, as we were saying, I'm not going to sit there and throw a fit until Kevin Feige go, F himself, but I will be waiting for that moment the entire movie. Be like, yeah, okay, everything else that's going on. When does Charlie Cox come on screen? So I wish I didn't see those rumors.
I would say if it does happen, you'll get that within like the first 30 minutes of that movie. Because the rest of it's going to be multiverse. So it would be, it'll probably be the movie starts with him trying to prove himself innocent, and then in walks, very late, might I add you, probably Charlie Cox. And then after that,
it's got to be one of those, what do they call it? Like, he's obviously going to be late, but it has to be, you got to make it feel right. Like, it's got to be like, they're going to show his face at the very last moment just to
it's like,
juice it.
Like really quick, like for as not satisfying as that Defenders miniseries was, I love that freaking scene of Jessica Jones being in the holding cell and Matt just coming in like I'm your lawyer and stuff, like just something like that. Like I want to relive that just with Spider-Man.
and the reason why, I think I'm a little needy of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield showing up is Sony's trying their best to do a Madam Web, right?
Right.
I don't want Madam Web to be why we get a Spider-Verse. I don't. I didn't like it in the end. I don't like Madam Web. I don't feel the need that you need to use her whatsoever. That's why I'm like, if you do it now, it kind of makes it impossible to do it again.
What if you have Peter Parker going through the multiverse, and not necessarily that you have Toby or Andrew coming back, but it's literally just old clips of the movies with our Peter Parker like swinging through them, like, oh, what's that?
So kind of like how when Barry runs the Speed Force on each side shows.
It's just.
I think that's just it.
The amount of angry fans that would be that would be Marvel's way of going, oh, I know what you wanted, but we were not going to give it to you. And it's just like, well, then don't do it. Like, don't give me mirages. Just don't do it. But I need it just to avoid Madam Web. I despise Madam Web. So keep that away. But
well, they're doing a solo freaking movie of Madam Web. So, well, not Marvel, but Sony.
Hey, Pete, don't you say that. Because tomorrow, you know what we'll hear? We'll hear they casted someone like, what's the lady that was in that Devil Wears Prada? That
God, yeah, Glenn Close was that?
No,
that wasn't Glenn Close. That was oh God,
son
of a bitch,
Meryl Streep.
Thank
Meryl
you.
Streep.
You know, like clones.
Tony. They'll cast Meryl Streep, and then that movie will drop tomorrow. Tony, Pete.
Dude, I'm gonna be in like Sony Pictures, and somebody gonna be like, "Hey, I have a great idea. We should do a Kraven the Hunter movie." Anybody else have any great ideas? And I know I'm gonna go to jail, but it's all for you guys.
We don't need any of that. But Jaydee, to end this out, your thoughts on the name reveal?
All right, so hanging out with Gabi over here while I talk about it. Going back to the Charlie Cox thing, I don't think it's going to be in a courtroom. If the rumors were true and he had a quick scene, it's probably him going into the office because they don't have a lot of money and they go into a pro bono office looking for some way to defend him.
Because they're just kids,
right? And there's no way to film a whole courtroom scene with him getting defended and having so many people, especially in the COVID times. and you resolve how he gets home through that. What else do I got? You need home to spell, you need the letters HOME to spell Mephisto. What else do I? I'm stretching that, but whatchamacallit? I mean, did anybody not think that the theme was not going to have the word home in it?
Of
Whatever.
course it
It
was
was a nice
gonna.
play on it, and it's too early to get excited on anything at all. Zendaya is a
never
hot
too
property
early.
right now. She's on almost every new show that's coming up. She had that show with Denzel Washington's son on Netflix. She's got that thing on HBO coming back, so they're gonna push her in the movie.
Yep. To me, it's just one of those things. By the way, when this trailer drops around August, September, it's gonna break the internet. It's gonna break the internet, not because of the trailer itself, but because of what people will assume will be in the trailer.
Yeah,
that's what's gonna break the internet.
Will it be disappointing?
Can I say really quick
go ahead.
that I just want to see some trailer for something Marvel, like not the shows. I know we're eating well with the shows, but I need to see some movies. It's like, maybe another Black Widow trailer. Like, I'd like to see the Eternals. I'd like to see Shang-Chi. It's like the Eternals is done. Like, give me a trailer.
For
Black Widow's been done.
Yeah, Black Widow's done. Like, these are done movies.
Black Widow, they're gonna repackage the promo train. So we're gonna get another trailer for it, probably not next month, but probably April. Because I think they're not gonna release a trailer till they're sure they're
coming out
in theaters. So it'll probably be mid-April around then. And I tell you what, if the Black Widow trailer hits, like they drop it within the next month or two, all the other trailers will come right in succession. I promise you.
I don't see why it wouldn't hit when it first came out. I mean, the internet was buzzing. I thought it looked freaking amazing.
Not hit like be good. I mean, like actually, if it actually does, like the movie can come out in May, and they actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember everybody suffering from Marvel fatigue after Infinity War. It's all the opposite right now, right? They're chomping at the bit.
Fucking COVID.
I never suffered from the fatigue. I was ready, hitting the ground running. Like, all right, the end game's done. Let's go.
One of those things to where it's like, I think a lot of people were I don't think people believed Marvel had a second stretch that could be that good. And then to go into WandaVision and all these other things, it's like, damn. Like, you're not gonna take a loss somewhere just to slow down a little bit? Like, we were expecting something would suck, and it's like, no, we don't suck over here, dude.
Thor: The Dark World was the last one. We're good now.
They're like, been there, done that.
Yeah, we've experienced lows. We don't do that anymore. We're always high over here.
Well, I would have said it was the Ed Norton Hulk, but okay.
Whoa.
That's a whole nother thing for a whole other. We're gonna break that down for sure.
Who knew Vancouver had Harlem? I thought it was in New York, but
I can't knock you for that. Guys, that's been another episode of Figure It Out. I want to thank Joel and Tia for joining us. We will hopefully see Joel and Tia a lot more often. Enjoy having you guys. Huge shouts out to Jaydee and Pete. Love doing this, guys. I can't wait till the next episode. And Jaydee, as much as you're kind of like, you're taking whatever WandaVision gives you, if I don't hear the name Ma, I'm gonna lose my mind. I told you guys before, if he's not in this season, I won't be talking about episode 9. I don't care who shows up in that shit. I won't be mentioning it whatsoever. Hopefully I get what I want. Yes, I am.
I hope it's Nightmare.
Played by Mark Hamill.
Acceptable.
De-age.
Yeah. See, you laugh, but I got a whole bunch of Marvel Universe Nightmare trading cards I could sell for big money if it happens.
There you go.
I don't have any Mephisto shit, but I got Nightmare up the ass.
Financial incentive.
There you go, man. Let's go Nightmare. You know what I mean?
Oh man. By the way, T, I just want to let you know I have found a way to make Agatha all along my ringtone. So
Oh, that's so amazing.
I've been having people call me just so I could just let it sit there and ring. Like, yeah, no, call me. And it's just like, yeah, my day's better.
Ever since you guys like pointed out the Munsters theme to it, it's just like I want to replay it all the time. I love it.
They did a great job with that. But all right, guys, thank you guys for joining us. Please make sure you guys are liking, subscribing. Please comment. Let us know your favorite figures, your favorite Marvel character, your favorite MCU movie. And let us know where your thoughts are on this new Spider-Man name. Where do you think it'll tie in with WandaVision? Share your thoughts. But definitely like, comment, and subscribe. You guys know to follow us all over social media. And for you listening, for you guys that listen to our audio podcast, share it and tag us. Share it and tag us. Give us your thoughts. Let us know why T is wrong in disrespecting Thor Dark World.
Let me get on that comment thread right now. I got a lot more to say.
I think Jaydee is the only one who's ever like argued with me on this. Not argued, but you know.
No, for sure. See, I definitely just made a burner, so I'll be sharing my thoughts. Make sure you guys are following us, and we appreciate the love. Till next time, guys.
All right, later, everybody.
Have a good night.
Peace.
See ya.